Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming at you with the Aegis Marauders League. Joining me here on the desk is going to be Jack. My name is Cherry J. We're coming at you with two big teams looking to make their mark here. Travelers coming up against the Dizzy's P5. Now, Jack, you've been here longer than I have. Why don't you introduce us to these teams? Explain to us why we got to be excited.
So Dizzy's P5 is still in a position to clinch their way into the playoffs with a win today. They're the same record. They've one game score behind, but I believe that the leading team had a forfeit on their schedule, so they maintained that perfect record without playing a series. So we're also looking at a substitute here in the jungle, Vertigo. He's played with them for a little while now, but him and Kerrigan have both performed at extremely high levels. This is just a really strong roster. Really good talent all the way top to bottom, but they do play through their bot, Setter and Freak Tour. They're leading almost every stat in their position. They're two of the highest rated players in this league, and I mean, Setter leads the league in CS per minute and damage per minute. Freak Tour is the highest assist per game, so really strong roster here. And on the flip side, with Travelers, this was a team that came in with very little expectations. They're an established league here. I know they made some swaps. They had a little bit of a rough start, now coming in at 1-3, but they're still in the hunt for those qualifier spots. Papilio really runs this team. He's so active, he facilitates everything they do, and I'm not surprised to see, as we hop into this draft, the Corky first pick for Dizzy. They do flex that between mid and bot.
Yeah, I'm really liking that Corky first pick. As we know, it's really strong right now in the current meta. It's such a good AD weapon that you can use as that tool to really burst down your opponents, get that early damage. Seems like it's going to be matched with a Cassante. An interesting first pick choice, to say the minimum. Rocking that first pick top lane. Definitely the most unorthodox pick to run as your first pick, but it could potentially be flexed in the mid side, so there could be a little bit of some trickery that Travelers wants to show us. As you were telling me before we got into the draft here, Jack, we are going to be seeing Dizzy's P5 looking to take a playoff spot, while Travelers, their backs are against the wall. So right now, to lock in that Cassante as that first pick, definitely going to be unorthodox, and having the confidence to do that is crazy. And it seems like the side of DP5, they want to match that with a Gnar, and they're assuming that that top lane matchup is going to be that Cassante.
Yeah, that's dangerous for them because they are one of the teams that has shown the most flexibility with this champ. Third most presence across the world, but it is a pretty difficult champ to play in an uncoordinated environment. But they're giving a lot of faith in Ryan Pakes, and this is a guy who's been performing well, but I haven't seen him on anyone's radar. One person I have seen a lot of talk for, is a lot of people in the chat loving him. He's a veteran in this league, is Bark Go Duck. Picking him up the Kai'Sa right away. It's a strong champion you can carry on, and one of my favorite champs. Going to be a bit difficult though with the Gnar jumping in, the Xin Zhao going in. Luckily Kai'Sa is a bit shorter range, so she can maintain some ability to hit on the Xin Zhao. But I think they got to round this out probably with a jungle pick. They're gonna probably get pinched with the Wukong out and Bess is a flex, Ivern out. They're gonna want to pick up one of these strong junglers, Vise, your Cyrus if they want better damage profile, but they're gonna opt to go for the Rel. Very strong support, matches up very well with the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I knew you were talking about Vi, but actually we haven't really been talking about the swap. Vi was actually banned in the first set of drafts, so it's a little bit of something that we kind of missed out on. The Ivern and Vi both getting taken out for DP5. They're looking to try and suffocate those jungle bans that TRV could potentially try and go for. So Travelers, they're going to match that with a ban of their own onto the Poppy. They're looking to limit that support and jungle option, but the Xin Zhao, unless it's potentially some kind of crazy mid pick that could potentially be coming out, I think that's very likely to be seen in the jungle though. So we're going to see that Poppy most likely be targeted towards the support ideas. And I got to say, I think this kind of does make me go under the assumption, at least, that the Corky is probably going to be picked under that bot lane to try and match out that Kai'Sa. Just because they didn't lock in any bot lane to match against it, instead going for that Xin Zhao Gnar. It's going to be a Bard, or not Bard, sorry, Braum to end up our Vans for Travelers, while we're going to be seeing a Volibear get taken out for DP5. There's the Nocturne. Now, there's a lot of combinations you could go with this. I kind of expect to see maybe an Orianna, since Travelers are lacking a little bit in AP, and Nocturne Orianna just works so well hand in hand. And an Alistar pickup is going to be brought in from DP5 as well.
Yeah, I love what these comps mean for the game we're going to get. I mean, both teams just want to go all in, just throw it all onto the, you know, probably going to see a lot of ARAM, a lot of going towards these objectives. You got a good ability to get these wards down, get a lot of vision. I know Aorus, the support for Travelers, is the highest vision score of any player in the league right now. So I'm expecting a lot of big fights. The Azir gives you some of that insurance with the scaling in the mid lane. They've got, you know, Corki scales well, not as well as he used to when you had those AP ratios on everything. The true damage now kind of flattens out. But I think both of these comps really, it's showing that both these teams in this game one have a very clear game plan. The Galio cements that. Both of these teams, they want to find you in these sure fights where you're going for these dragons, you're going for these barons, you're looking for ways to end the game well, and they're just going to fight you all out there.
Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. We're going to be seeing that Azir come into the mid lane, matching up against a Galio, which might be a little bit difficult to handle, since Azir, it's one of those AP champions. Galio, you really get that resistance that is so heavy. So I think, at least in my personal opinion, I'm kind of favoring Traveler's composition here, just due to the fact that I think the K'Sante and Galio can be so tough to break. I don't know if you have other thoughts on this or how you're looking for this game to go, but unless that Corki can get really ahead, I don't think the Gnar is really going to be able to jump on a lot of the players on Traveler, since Kai'Sa's got some pretty good disengage, Rel has pretty good disengage, Nocturne has a little bit of disengage. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm seeing something that, or maybe I'm not seeing something you are seeing here, Jack, but at least from my personal perspective, I think Travelers, they should be able to win this compositional wise.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think, like I said, both these teams want to do the exact same thing, but Travelers comp facilitates it way better. You hit Nocturne's R button, you hit Galio's R button, you hit Rel's R button and her W, and the fight's on. Everyone's going to be right on top of each other. Kai'Sa's going to shred through them. And on DP5 side, they want to do the same thing, but Xin Zhao's got to hit his W, Alistar's got to get close enough to hit that headbutt combo, Azir's got to be able to hit the Shurima Shuffle. I haven't seen Severed play yet, and Setter doesn't really have a ton of agency, and as one of their better players, you would prefer that. I think Alaskan Kodiak on the Gnar is a good pick just to safely get him through the lane and still be useful. I think that the factor, if DP5 wins this, is going to be Freak Tor on the Alistar. He's a huge playmaker for this team. They do everything through their bot lane, so if they are able to pull this out, it's going to be through him on the Alistar.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think Setter and Freak Tor, that could be really volatile on the bot lane. If they can get that Alistar really fed, as you said, that could be something that could really start helping them later on. But I don't know. I mean, realistically speaking, anything could happen. I like the movement coming out from Travelers, though. You have that Nocturne, you have that Kai'Sa, you have that Rel, that all have some pretty good dive capability. But Dizzy's P5, I mean, they have some, but I just don't think it matches it, and they don't really have that like fortification. Obviously, there's Alistar, who's really good at kind of countering aggression and kind of just putting people in their place. But realistically, I don't know. I think Severed could potentially make some really good playmaking opportunities with that wall that they get at level 6. But I mean, I don't know. I think that it's really going to come down to that bot lane, as you said.
Yeah, and when you look at the scaling on both these teams, if we do end up going late, you've got pretty equal scaling. When you look at Travelers, their scaling is mostly tank, and then Kai'Sa is going to be everything, whereas on Dizzy P5 side, the Corki is going to scale pretty well, and the Azir is going to end up being a monster. If Azir is able to get 4 or 5 items, the Galio MR, the innate MR isn't going to matter, the Rel is going to be gone, and K'Sante is going to be, you know, losing a lot of those resistances in these fights, probably trying to get rid of the Xin Zhao or pick off the Corki.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, I don't know. What do you think objective-wise here? You think this Xin Zhao is going to be able to really start pulling through, taking those Drakes? I don't know if you have any information on how, like, these teams' kind of percentages on if they're able to get Soul, or how you think this is going to go. Obviously, this is a best of 3. Not entirely sure if we're playing with Fearless Draft here, but if so, it would definitely be interesting to see no more K'Sante, no more Gnar, and then they'll have to try and work without it. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on things like that.
Yeah, this is full fearless, which is going to be really exciting, especially in these draft ones, because I've seen a lot of games play out where each team kind of handshakes and they say, we're not banning out any of these really premier strong champions. We're going to let everyone kind of get what they want. We'll ban out some of the pocket picks for the first one. I think if Vertigo can get Setter and Freak Tour ahead with some assistance, they should be able to get going on these objectives. And if they start stacking early, Azir and Corki are going to melt through objectives later in the game. And Kai'Sa is going to do well too, but I don't see a lot of quick Baron start potential on Travelers, but what I do see is a lot of turn potential. So that's why right at the beginning I'm saying, these objective fights, these times in the game where you are for sure going to see 5-on-5s, I think Travelers have the edge.
I do agree with you there, but if Dizzy's is just able to steal away an objective, burning it down with Severed and Setter, I think that could be really good. And I don't want to be harsh towards Travelers, but it's as you said, they're the team that's a little bit weaker on the standings list. They're the team that's a little bit newer, has a little bit lacking in that experience category. So if they can't really have that information around the map, utilizing wards and finding vision, and Dizzy's P5 is just able to get a steal on something like a Drake, like a pair of Void Grubs without any contestation, it really could just cause some problems for Travelers, even though they have a composition that really works well in those scrimmages, 5-on-5s. I think Dizzy's P5, they definitely can't be underestimated, even though we're liking Travelers' composition a little bit stronger.
Certainly. I'm really excited for this game, and I think we're going to go to a break before we head into game one.
日本にはまだある？急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。そう、そのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。お前はだよ、同志じゃねえか。もちろん取引しようや。ありがとう、全マーケット。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're returning to you with game number one of our 3-map series here. Travelers coming in as the underdogs. They're going up against Dizzy P5, and joining us back on the desk, the one, the only, the glorious, some would say the best, Jack. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. Thank you. I'm feeling even better after that wonderful introduction. I'm looking across at these runes, and I don't see anything too far out of the ordinary. The only thing I'm seeing is Ryan Pakes going for the Aftershock here. I generally see Grasp as the run, but I think he's thinking with the Gnar lane, he's not going to be able to land as many of those autos. He wants to be able to stay healthy when he goes in and tries to get some early trades off with the with the W. And I don't think I'm happy to say we didn't see a lot of them, but being on 15-5, no lane swaps, we're just gonna get straight on League of Legends the way it was intended.
Yeah, I am also a little bit shocked by that. I hope you like the pun, that rune pick of the Cassante. You kind of do usually see that grasp of the Undying, as you said, or even if not that, maybe you'll see something like a Conqueror come out if you're confident. But I guess it was, as you said, completely like they're not very confident in this lane when they're playing against somebody who has that ranged attack in their capability. That arsenal is really wide for something like a Gnar, but I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to be able to play and how they're going to be able to pilot something like the Aftershock rune, because I mean, I personally was not expecting it, so I hope you have a little bit more insight, because I don't know how that lane would play out.
It's gonna be a little difficult. I think Gnar, as we see the two come out here for Kai'Sa and Rel first, the Gnar gets a little overrated early because obviously is ranged, but the range on Gnar levels 1 through 5 is it's minuscule. You're gonna have to get into melee range to land almost anything. But once that Mega Gnar comes out, it's obviously neutralized. It's got so much CC in the kit, what makes it so strong in competitive scenes. I'm seeing also across the map Vertigo starting topside and looking to just full clear and be able to end his clear down at the bottom lane, see if he can make something happen. It is already warded out by Travelers. They made sure in that tri-brush that they weren't going to get, you know, a sneaky level 3 or level 4 gank. I don't know when it was placed exactly, but if it was placed right around the start of the game, there could be the potential for a lane gank, because they wouldn't have it back up. Kai'Sa's the one who placed it, so Rel might be able to get it back up. But right now, they're pinging on the map. They know Xin Zhao's going to be close, so probably just going to be a push out and back to base for Corki and Alistar.
Yeah, this is already looking really good for DP5, though. They got some massive health advantages on their opponents, especially in the mid lane, where you see that opposing Galio already starting to back up, starting to have to really play a little bit more cautiously. And it's kind of similar in most lanes. And potentially we're going to be seeing an invade come through, as we can see on the minimap. The side of Travelers, they've already inputted their jungler over towards this opposing side, able to get a little bit of vision, not going to be able to catch out that Xin Zhao who did path down from that way. So they've made a little bit of a good decision on their part over towards that side of DP5. I mean, I just want to get your opinion though. Like, do you think that like this this Nocturne, I don't know why I'm thinking the wrong champ there. Do you like this idea from them to try and input themselves into the other team's jungle and try and find some camps, or do you think they should have backed off a little bit earlier?
I like the move mostly because he took that top crab. They're going to be getting grubs spawned here in about 30 seconds. When you do that path bot to top, he's looking to see if Xin Zhao made the same move, because if that Gromp had been respawned, he would have known that he started topside. But I thought they were going to make a move for the Gromp when Alistar moved up as, oh, severed caught.
Oh, just barely surviving off a sliver of HP.
It's tough. This Galio early lane, it's easy to think that it's a free lane for the ranged mage, but if he is able to manage that mana effectively, then he can really get some huge trades out. And YouTube has been one of the fan favorites as a great double knock comes out from Freak Tour. But YouTube's been one of the fan favorites this year, and I fully trust him on this champ like Galio. It's going to be a big playmaker. You've got to be able to facilitate and support your team. But back to that jungle pick, I really thought they were going to try and make an early play either on mid or top side, or try and wait out those grub spawns. But in the end, Alistar just kind of walked up to hover with the Xin Zhao, and they didn't really end up doing anything for it. I don't think he ended up missing out on any minions or any XP, but it was a fascinating move.
Yeah, as you said, the Galio, just such a strong pick, and YouTube has just been playing it so predominantly. It gives them that aggression and that confidence. Right now, it seems as if DP5, they're going to be able to take this Drake, trade it over for the Void Grubs, which I do really like for them, because as we said earlier, that's a scaling composition right there for the side of DP5. Dizzy, they want these Drakes. They want to be able to scale that, find a soul. And for the side of TRV Travelers, they kind of need to start contesting them. I mean, I don't hate the idea of them going for the Void Grubs because Void Grubs are just good overall and they're able to trade objectives. Unfortunately, here we are going to be seeing the Empowered Cube missing out. So the side of Travelers, they're not going to be able to get much in exchange, but that's going to be a little bit of a good situation for them anyways. They get to be able to collect all 3 Void Grubs. They get to a little bit of extra damage when it comes to burning down towers, but right now you still need one more before you're going to have those little grubbies spawn and support you. And especially once you get things like that Herald online, it could become really strong to have 6 Void Grubs to go with it.
Yeah, I like this trade right away. It's like you said, DP5 has more of a scaling comp with the Corki and Azir, so they want to be able to accelerate that come, you know, 3rd, 4th dragon trying to get an early soul. And for Travelers, I think you take that trade because you want to be able to accelerate this game state. Oh, unstoppable on the ult.
Oh, they're going all in
forward.
here.
He's not going to be able to... Nocturne coming through.
Oh, Flash comes out to the near site, and it's just gonna be a drive-by, and oh my god, Papa Leo gonna be the one to secure the kill. The Gnar was looking strong in lane, up CS for a while, but oh my lord, that is exactly what you want.
I mean, it works perfectly. Vertigo is gonna find him here. I think he's gonna catch him in the shop.
Oh, and I spoke too soon.
Yeah, went shopping a bit too early. I mean, good by Vertigo to go check just in case there's a lot of junglers that would just say never mind. I think this is going to be a full fight. Ends up getting him. Barco Duck ends up going down. Why they gotta have such hard to say names. Era's going up too. I mean, this is what we talked about earlier. In the draft, everything goes through this bot lane and it makes it so much easier when they can find kills themselves.
That's going to be Feats of Warfare as well. A great pickup for Dizzy P5 right there with a triple kill coming in. 2 kills over towards the bot lane. You said it earlier, they like to play towards it, and clearly it's showing now with the Alistar being a real playmaker to secure those 2 kills, being the one to take that aggression that was shown and just shove it back in the faces of Travelers. They didn't have time to get under their tower, and it really just kind of became that deficit that's so unfortunate to have to overcome.
Yeah, we do have some scaling on Travelers in that bot side with the Kaisa. As long as we see the on-hit build come through, this shouldn't be too big of a misstep. I think they're still okay for now. Barco Duck probably just going to look to keep farming. Freakator is behind. If he's able to... I was if he's able to get behind and hit that headbutt towards Setter, it would have been a long lane to walk through. There is a flash up, but really just looking to survive through the rest of his Alistar. Only level 5, so they're trying to catch during this advantage. And they do have Vertigo on this side of the map, though, so Travelers got to be careful. They can't overextend to try and get this lane back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm really liking this HP deficit for Dizzy P5 right now. Like, this Rel already almost at half HP. It could become a real problem soon enough. It seems like the guys are looking to potentially build into the Kraken Slayer here, so that would definitely be a decent starting thing. And as you said, that's kind of what you need to go for that on-hit AD instead of like something like building that Gnasher Tooth to start. But oh, big damage potentially going to be coming through, but the Alistar not going to engage just yet.
Yeah, they're waiting. I mean, this is what you're seeing at these higher levels. Nocturne is here. We see a great decision made by both teams here. EP5, wow, that's a lot of damage. He might be able to find a kill if he hits the ult, and he doesn't. Good block by Rel. It's a long lane. They wanted to force that freeze there, Setter and Freakator. Force that freeze right in front of their turret. Don't let them push it in, because then they're just trapped there forever. They can't leave because they'll lose too much CS and experience, but they can't stay because Corki is tearing them to shreds. So it was good by Papilio to come down and try and force that push out, but I mean, just walking way too far forward, Bark does, and ends up taking a ton of damage. But if the lane's going to come crash together in the middle anyway, so it ends up being fine, and they're going to take the next 3 Void Grubs, so we won't see any Void Mites, we won't see 6 for anyone. And 10 seconds on the Dragon. Horus is coming up. He's got the sweeper already. He's got a pink ward full charge on his support item. They don't want DP5 to get too much scaling. Instead, he's here alone in this lane.
Oh, engage comes through from the Rel, able to connect onto the stun, but still DP5 stands strong, not going to falter, not going to waver. Instead, they want to play aggressively, but it seems like no kills will be found just yet. Nocturne is over here. And right now, it seems like they want to engage. There it is gonna be, but oh no, the Kaisa gonna go in first. There's gonna be the stun instantly going to be flashed away, but not gonna be good enough. Ignite comes down. It almost secures a kill onto the Rel, but it's just not enough. Little bit too little too late, and the Kaisa's going to be able to get away along with the Rel. A good kill to try and even things up.
I mean, that is the beauty of this composition they've drafted for themselves. It doesn't matter if the first engage misses. It doesn't matter if the second engage misses. It doesn't matter because they can keep going forward always.
Oh, the double taunt is so good, and that's gonna be Freakster backing up, not gonna be found out just yet. Good stuff from the Calio and a flash, tanking a tower shot, but it's not gonna matter. It's a kill, and looks like our friend the one and only Cassante going in deep, but almost getting found out, and they will sever to burn them down with the assist from the tower.
I mean, I was going to say how impressed I've been by Ryan Pakes on this Cassante pick when he went unstoppable for the Azir ult. But then he overextends, he walks under the turret, and the Azir has that Nashor's Tooth. There's going to be so much damage coming through, and if you're not right on top of him, you're not going to be able to contest it. He has so much range. I mean, all across the map, though, even with that little setback in the mid lane, the happy little accident, great showing from Travelers across the map. They are still down a pretty hefty handful of gold, but most of that is coming from CS differences, some early kills. For the most part, this is a pretty even game state. DP5 is able to hold them off of Dragon long enough to secure that second Drake as Ocean Soul comes through. I think that I was actually, as I was praising Travelers so much, a pretty big mistake. They get all of those kills in the bot lane, but they don't have enough time with those staggered kills to take the dragon. So now we're still at 2 dragons, 1 to go before we get to Soul Point, and DP5 is free to just kind of sit here for a while and scale up. They can just kind of sit in lane and farm for the next 5 minutes, wait to get to Drake Soul, and not really have to be worried about much.
And DP5, they're easily the team that's completely ahead on objectives here. They got 3 Void Grubs along with their 2 souls, as you said. And right now, I mean, they're just doing everything they could possibly want for. I mean, oh no. Travelers, they're looking like they could potentially set up for a gank over towards the bot side with a Nocturne close by, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get much against this Alistar right now, since they are under tower, as well as it's just kind of a lane that has kind of fed out of their minds. We're seeing the Trinity Force built up. Looks like we're going to be seeing some more items coming in soon for the Alistar. But, I mean, right now, it's kind of an even state. It's obviously DP5 up a ton of gold, almost 2,000. But over towards the jungle, a little bit of a suffocation coming out. Oh, no, but there's going to be the ultimate coming on in. But it's a spell shield to get him away. Oh, but look at the knock-up. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And it's a shutdown. Coming out, severed, absolutely annihilate.
Really cocky play there by Vertigo. He has no push in the top lane or the mid lane. He wants to go into the jungle just to check, maybe get some camps taken away, try and build this advantage. He was up about 2 or 3 camps on him, but he gets found out, and it's not even like Nocturne just kind of ran up to him. He got collapsed on completely. They had the whole map, and now we're moving into the bot lane. Flash forward.
Oh, look at this. Good kills coming in. YouTube's going to be able to find the opener, looking to connect onto the second. The Alistar's getting low, but Freakador going to be taken down, and Bark Go gonna be the one to secure it. a great kill from them to be able to really get this Kai'Sa ahead, which is such a necessity. If you want to be able to win this game, you got to get that Kai'Sa to really start being that playmaker who's able to start really annihilating the lobby. Oh, the tower, and start focusing on to the Gnar, but not gonna be able to find much. Sun comes out, but it's gonna be Vertigo to get really just demolished, able to get out onto the monster in the jungle, but it's not enough, and that's gonna be the kill.
Someone tell Vertigo that that's not his jungle. I feel like the amount of times he's walked into that topside jungle and gotten caught, he might think that it's his. I mean, we've gotta just stop with the silly deaths here, because right now Travelers are getting everything they want. Every single fight is on their terms. They're getting these picks, these odd numbered fights where they have the power play, and they're finally starting to grab some of these objectives. I mean, I know that they took away those early Void Grubs, but now they're getting the Rift Herald. They're going to be able to break down this mid turret. They're going to be able to move across the map, and DP5 can't afford to be bleeding this much. They are going to potentially pick up this tier 2. Another unstoppable.
Oh, but Severed barely going to be able to flash over the wall, looking to go for more. The Empowered Q is going to be able to connect. It's some good damage. Ryan Pig's going to be able to get the kill, and that's exactly what you want, because it's a double kill for Ryan Pigs. Going over to the jungle, and it's a triple. Setter's going to fall. Papaleo going to be the one to connect onto it, but YouTube over towards the top lane, looking to secure even more, but right now it's finally going to be showing signs of life from DP5.
Great move by the Gnar there. Alaskan Kodiak tries to stem the bleeding just a little bit, but you get the 3 Void Grubs. They haven't even, or it does look like they used the Rift Herald somewhere, maybe to get that damage on the mid turret.
Just the mid lane, yes.
Yeah, they've got to make a play soon. They've got to show some fight, because as of right now, with the Corki being 1-3-1, getting solo killed, the Azir is falling behind, greeting for that bot tier 2 turret. Every single fight for the rest of the game is going to go exactly as we've seen so far. There's nothing that shows me that Travelers comp is going to just stop being able to hit all their R buttons. They're going to have to get... I think this soul point might be make or break. I know it's early into the game, but if they can't threaten this soul point right now, I don't see how they move forward ever threatening like they have a chance to win this game.
Oh, looks like we're going to be seeing a big team fight over towards the mid lane. Immediately going to be conceding it, though. Traveler is going to try and re-engage. Not going to want to give up this next dragon as easily, but oh, it's going to be the engage coming in from the Galio, looking to go for more. Not going to be able to connect. It's a double knockup coming in from the Alistar, burning him down, but it's going to be the first in this middle. It's still Ryan looking to go for some damage, but not going to be able to find anything just yet. Fleeing comes down onto Gnar. The Gnar looking to get taken down. It's going to be YouTube to secure the kill. Instantly, we see the ult coming in from the Nocturne. There's going to be Barco Joe. Going to be able to get the next setter. Gets taken down, but it's still a shutdown. More. It's going to be Freakator to take down the support. Going for the support diff. Severed going to be able to get down Ryan Pigs. The tank is dead, and that's going to be DP5 securing the next dragon.
What an incredible fight from DP5. Everyone did exactly what they needed to. The spacing was perfect. It was just a bit too fast of an engage from YouTube. This team comp doesn't do well when you're running at them. So DP5 was able to take the mid wave and get the push. They had no vision, so when Travelers walked in, they had to walk in blind, and YouTube thought he would get a flank and go around, but he gets taken too low too early, and even with the good rel follow-up, Kai'Sa wasn't able to get much damage on until the very end, and to get it down she had to dive all the way in onto Corki's head. At that point, Sever just got a great sweep, and I mean, a really impressive fight there from DP5. That was exactly what we had to see. And now the amount, you know, that the draft gained Travelers is almost neutralized, because we've got a 3k gold lead, and a lot of that gold is onto this Azir. And if Severed is able to play the following team fights the way he played that one, able to get these monster shuffles onto the Nocturne, onto the Kai'Sa, that's what's going to make the difference. Because earlier in this game, he was getting his ankles broken there by the Cassante and by the Nocturne spell shield. So I think that's really going to be where we put our focus for the rest of these fights.
Oh, but Papaleo gonna re-engage. There's the fleeing effect too, and it's just too much to deal with. Papaleo going to be able to find the kill, and that's being the playmaker. Setter's gonna fall, and Papaleo taking a 5th kill on the board. That's being the one player in this lobby who I genuinely think really does deserve this MVP award, at least so far map 1, because they have been looking so dominant throughout this entire game.
Yeah, I have one word written down under Papilio for my notes, and it just says facilitator. If something happens on the map, it happens because of Papilio. And I mean, we've said it 1,000 times now, but we're going to say it again. This Travelers team comp is so difficult to contest with, because at any point when they decide they can start a fight or they can find a pick, because it doesn't matter about positioning or vision. If they see you for a second, Nocturne shuts the lights off and goes right at you. Galio follows him right up. Rel follows right up. And as soon as you think you've gotten out of range of those three, Kaisa comes flying in with the killer instinct. And she's about to have the Guinsoo's Rage Blade. And once that gets started, I mean, the Nashor's Tooth is kind of the cherry on top for this Kaisa on-hit build, because once you get that, you start going for like Zhonya's and whatever you can find. But really going to be a huge spike once that item comes out. Galio's probably got his item spike with that Rift Maker. It's going to be pretty much health AP bruiser from there on out. But across the Rift, the Manamune is coming from this Corki. I know he keeps getting caught out, but he's going to start doling out a ton of damage. So Travelers are going to keep having to find these picks as we see the Ruinous Otacon being taken here. I think these plays, they have to try and get more off of them. Because you see, they've gotten 14 kills, 5 more than DP5, and they're still sitting at about a 3k gold disadvantage, because getting kills is good if you can use that time on the Rift where you have that power play, but they haven't been able to translate those kills into any solid objectives across the map, and they don't even have a single turret.
I think this game played out exactly how we predicted it, where it was like, yeah, Travelers, they have a good composition when it comes to fighting, but TP5, they got the experience and they got that burst damage. So right now, there's going to be the Ruinous Otacon taken down immediately. So DP5, they're going to get the advantage on that front, and they're still almost 4,000 gold up on Travelers. So I think realistically you can't count either of these teams out, but if DP5, if they start fighting, they need to really rely on that Desir and that Corki to really dominate, because those have been the two players who have been so good, along with the Jin Zhao and Gnar, who have also been really tanky and just able to kind of isolate those targets and get that damage you desperately need. I mean, right now we seem to potentially be in the midst of another fight about to be brewing, with a couple players starting to gather towards the mid. We're going to be seeing that Azir towards the bot lane, potentially going to be split pushing, and then the Gnar not really going to be available for the team fight. They will have that teleport if they do opt in for that, to really just try and exhaust all of their summoner spells to get this fight win, but I don't know if they're going to really opt in for that.
Oh, now they are.
Oh, big damage, and look at that all coming in from the Galio. Gonna be so big. A double knockup comes in. There's gonna be the flash from Setter. Setter's gonna be able to find one onto Papaleo. Somebody who's been so good. There's gonna be the counter attack though, shutting down Setter. And oh my god, Vertigo is gonna be able to get down Bark Go Duck. And look at that, stun comes down. It's gonna be a triple knockup, and Severed with a triple ult. It's a domination. Severed on a triple kill, securing the ace.
It doesn't matter how quickly you can find a target if you can't do any damage. Kaisa is fighting for her life in these team fights, throwing out so much damage, but the constant repositioning, not able to fully lock down a target. Setter is able to stall for so long. Freaktor does so much in these fights to peel and to apply CC, and by the time they finally get the kill on to Setter, Severed comes flying in, the Gnar comes flying in. Vertigo's doing so much damage with that Sundered Sky and Black Cleaver combo. I know they always say hindsight's 2020, but I really wish I had seen more of this team on some of these stream matches, because we said it, Severed is going to be what makes the difference in this game. And I didn't know, just from not being able to see the guy play as much, whether or not he was going to be able to carry. I mean, they have a perfect team comp to facilitate this Azir, because the Corki is a medium range target, so a lot of people's attention are going to focus right onto that. Alistar, Xin Zhao, Gnar can do so much displacement, they can take so much focus, and they're also able to stay alive throughout these fights. And the whole time, Azir is a screen away until he wants to go in and do that shuffle. So looking now, knowing what we know about the quality of this DP5 roster, I mean, great composition. Travelers still have everything we've talked about, though, that they have from this draft. They're going to have to be able to use it, though, because this Baron's going to get shredded.
Oh my god, look at that. The double zero coming in a little bit too early potentially, but okay, that's not enough. There's Ryan Pace going for the ultimate. Gonna be burnt down immediately though, and it's just severed that playmaker, that king of the field, and a double kill to secure the team fight. And all the way on the bottom side of the map, there's the Gnar looking to secure some towers. First one's gonna be going down, and this siege into the base of Travelers has been completely breached, and they're gonna completely avoid the Baron as well. Instead, just opting to run down mid lane, look to completely break into the base and exploding their way on it.
I think they're going to try and look for an end here. Kai'Sa's backing in their jungle. We're looking on the first Nexus turret. Vertigo's walking in. They didn't even take the dragon, but they have Ocean Soul. Kai'Sa, if she wasn't able to do enough damage throughout the game to get this lead, she's not going to be able to do enough now.
And that is going to do it. It's gonna be over. DP5 at 27 minutes 16 seconds have come back from the deficit. Travelers no longer able to contest in map number 1, but obviously, as we know, there's still 2 more maps remaining. So Jack, I think that there's definitely time for them to improve throughout the rest of the series, but they got to start now.
Yeah, I didn't see much mechanically that really set them behind, but the execution, when you have a really simple to play team comp, when it comes to like I said, just hit all your R buttons, fly in, that's one thing. But once you get those kills, you have to translate that into something permanent, because even while they had the kill advantage, even while they were up like 4 or 5 kills throughout the game, they had no towers, no dragons. They got 3 grubs at the beginning on a handshake, but they weren't able to really cement themselves. And when the tank Galio only does 600 less damage than the carry that you're counting on for all of your damage, you've got to really reevaluate those early fights and reevaluate that play style. And like I said, it wasn't anything mechanically that I think was the issue. It was just some of the execution of the macro that needed a bit of an improvement.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look at this game. It was just so dominant. And honestly, for a while, like, I can't remember any time where Travelers were actually up in gold. They were up in kills a lot. But when it came down to it, just the CSing and just the general play looked so good from Dizzy. Like, I don't know. I think that right now that we're going to a fearless draft, I'm really favoring Dizzy P5 for just a 2-0, just due to the fact that I think that the whole plan here from their opponents in Travelers was just to play that Nocturne with the Kai'Sa and Galio and just win, because it looked so good how they were just dominating each fight with those engages from the Nocturne. They were just absolutely dominant each and every time. So I'm not sure about you, Jack, but I think that right now I'm favoring a 2-0.
Yeah, certainly. And we still have a ton of really high priority champs. I know Skarner got a pretty hefty nerf on this patch, but looks like a lot of teams are still thinking it's strong. So I'm sure that Travelers are probably going to pick blue side. Although I should say in this league, picking red side is a little bit more popular than I'd expect. But once we get this draft coming out, I mean, we still have... Let me see, we still got Skarner, still got Varus up, still got Poppy up. We got banned this game, the Vi got banned this game. So there's a lot of really strong champions that if Dizzy's can get their hands on it, with this advanced macro that we're seeing out of them, I think Travelers are really going to have to work hard in the second game.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. It's just such a good pick when you're able to get that Vi out, and they could try and pair the Vi with the Ahri. So there's definitely a lot of options that you could go for, a lot of tools that do come off of things like that. Since I was kind of surprised we didn't see anything happen with, because both teams really seem to like to skirmish. But yeah, it's Okay, well, I might be cooked now. I'm not sure what happened to my webcam. Okay, we're back. Oh, I don't know if that's a me issue or what, but that certainly is unfortunate.
Yep. And before we head into break, before our second game, I have something I want to tell all of you. Have you ever had a problem longing for that special Japanese item, but you can't find it locally? Well, we have a solution for you. Zen Market is your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box and ship it internationally. They'll provide excellent customer services in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, that's AEGIS, you'll get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. That's code AEGIS, Aegis, will get you 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Now we're gonna head to a break.
日本にはまだある？
急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。そのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。
お前はんだよ、同志じゃねえか。もちろん取引しようや。
ありがとう、全マーケット。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're returning to you with game number 2 here. As we can remember, just to recap, game number 1, Dizzy's P5 dominated. against the side of Travelers. Travelers, they were able to make a decent run, especially off the back of their Nocturne, who, fortunately enough, Jack, he's going to be under my screen as that ban coming into this game. So immediately we can look, lots of bans towards the top side coming in from Travelers here. We see that Cho'Gath, that Mbessa already taken away. DP5 going a different route, looking to take out those junglers, Vi and Ivern. Two bans that we saw in the last ban rotation are going to be followed up in this ban rotation, and to follow up for a triple ban in the jungle, we're going to be seeing that Wukong along with the Mbessa taken offline.
I have a bad feeling Travelers are going to say, what's the second best champion in every position with an R button that just lets us go? A Pantheon ult? All right, let's go with the Pantheon ult. Because right away, I mean, with the Mbessa being banned by Travelers, I think it's hard to know this because obviously I don't think anyone else has been doing it, but the Dizzy P5 jungler put in a lot of games of Mbessa jungle. They want to try and flex this. So getting rid of that's good, but now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 junglers banned. You're kind of forcing at this point Travelers to first overall pick their jungler, and Pantheon's a strong champ, but when you've got so many strong champs available, I feel like you really gotta let that jungle fall down the list. But when Papilio is your main facilitator, you kind of gotta get him something that can afford to let him run the game. And I like what we're seeing out of Travelers here a bit better. If you're gonna have that full engage comp, you're gonna get enough of it from your top lane, from your jungle, maybe from your mid lane. So this Karma comes through, can help on some of that damage more so when it comes to facilitation, because Bark getting the Sivir would be nice. All these hovers, they want to just go for a nice laid back composition, just let them scale up again. I like the Ezreal Maokai, gives you really good disengage and engage. The Ezreal, excuse me, is going to scale up a lot better in some of these fights, and especially if they read it correctly and say like, okay, Travelers is just going to try and run at us again. Ezreal does a lot better job kind of gliding backwards with those essence shifts than Corki's got the Valkyrie, and then he's just kind of stuck.
Yeah, 100%. Sivir, Karma. Now I want to get your opinion. What are the chances we see Karma top here?
I think they're not 0, but they're low, because Ryan Pakes has put in a lot of games this year. He's got over 250 games, but he really, from what I saw, the biggest flex was the Aurora, which has been banned out both games. I think Aurora is probably one of, if not the strongest mids right now in this league, and having that flex gone, I think he's probably going to stick to something standard. I really like where they're heading now, Travelers, in their bans, because they're going to have to blind either top or mid. And last game, I think it kind of went under the radar because Severed played so well, but the Gnar in the side lanes was doing so much work, and we saw them end the game because Gnar was split pushing bot, got the solo kill on YouTube, and they were able to just ignore Baron, walk up through bot lane. So knowing you're going to have to blind pick something, I like targeting him. Aatrox and Cassante are his two highest played by far. So he can't play Cassante because it was played last game, and now you take away the Aatrox, he's going to be on something a lot less comfortable. You take away the Renekton, already Mbessa gone, now you're starting to move, to your 4th, your 5th best champion.
Oh, Way, Victor. I would like to see that Victor come out. It's a pretty good scaling champion, but Way as well. Talia maybe even. Talia is a very strong pick. I love Talia myself. That Weaver's Wall to isolate picks, it can be so volatile, but when it comes down to it, Travelers with the Pantheon could just melt right through, and it's gonna be a Xerath picked up. Most likely can be picked in the mid. I'm not totally sure on Xerath play right now. It has been a while since I've seen the Xerath, so I'm not entirely sure if you have more insight on that type of pick in the mid lane, but I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to double down on reading that Travelers is going to go for another one of these full go, pull the trigger, send it comps, because Xerath, the skill there is that he can hit you with his entire kit, not even be on the same screen. I'm going to assume that Severed plays this, because I think Xerath is one of those champs that everyone's like, yeah, I can play Xerath. He's got a bunch of skill shots. They're all lines. It's so easy. And then you play and you're like, I missed everything. I missed everything in that fight. But I think if you're going to go into a Xerath, Yone is probably one of your better picks. You're gonna have to force, you're gonna force him into a lot of uncomfortable positions throughout the laning phase and throughout team fights, because if you're picking Yone, you're not gonna go for the Ezreal. He's just gonna get away. Xerath, way more immobile, going to be just sitting back there. I like the Yone pick too into the Maokai, because once you get that Bork first item, he's going to be able to shred through. The Gwen pick, I was thinking in my head, this team needs more AP if you're going to go Yone mid. I haven't seen a Gwen in some time. I know the champ is pretty strong right now as a counter, but I don't really know what you'd pick into it. I don't love picking a tank into it. That's kind of playing into Gwen's wants, but Ornn, very strong champion, going to do well, disengaging from this comp. So Travelers, they seem to have a pretty similar composition to last game, except they don't have the facilitation of those R buttons that you just kind of press and then, hands up, you've got your engages. They're going to have to fight for a lot more this game.
I definitely agree with you there. Funny enough, you're saying that you haven't seen a Gwen in a while. I've been able to cast a lot of Gwen lately, so I gotta say it's a pick where if you're good at Gwen, you're gonna be really strong here. Ornn into it, it's not a bad pick. I like Ornn. I think it's definitely strong here. There's a lot of that stun and root capability on this side of DP5 between that Ornn, the Xerath, the Maokai, the Leona. It just gives you so much capability, just kind of ruining Traveler's flow of things. But I think that Yone, as you said, it's gonna be really strong, especially into something like a Xerath. You use E empowered Q WR, that's instantly going to be a kill potentially. And Sivir as well, it's just one of those picks. It's just such a good backline. I'm just gonna say, if you're a good Sivir player, you're gonna win here. Pantheon, I hope that we can see Pantheon play similar to what we saw last game on the Nocturne, but hopefully is gonna be a big word, because obviously it's hard to replicate that type of domination.
Yeah, and when we look towards these bottom lanes, when you're seeing the full engage tank support versus the range support, it's a very fine line between your support just flat out inting, running into the Leona stuns, and you coordinating your poke to a point where you can force them under turret. That was just about the only bright spot last game. Was in the early game, DP5, Setter was getting ahead. They were able to kind of neutralize what Travelers wanted to do in that bot lane, which was scale. They kept forcing them out of lane. They kept freezing. And now this game, DP5 is going to have to play a bit more aggressive to make some of those plays happen and to force some of those freezes, because at any point in that laning phase, if Sivir and Karma decide they want to push it in, they're just going to kill the entire wave in 1 second and back for their mana back.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to play out. I was kind of thinking maybe in my head we might see that Pantheon go top lane and Ryan Pakes could potentially try and trade that over and use the Gwen over towards the jungle, but that did not seem to be the case in any world. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think bot lane, I give it over to Dizzy's P5 once more, just because that Leona can be so volatile and there's not a lot of tankiness from that Sivir and the Karma. Obviously Sivir, you got the spell shield, which is going to be pretty strong into these two, but let's see if they can actually find the success they kind of need.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand as I look at the entire composition a little bit better why they went with this Xerath pick, because as I said, with Travelers, they're going to have to blind either their top or their mid. It was the same thing with Dizzy P5, because they picked their entire bot side in their first rotation. And I get, if you play a lot of Xerath, I understand the thought process of I will just farm under my tower the whole laning phase and then get a couple items, and during team fights I'll do a ton of damage from from the other side of the river. There's so much artillery that comes out of Xerath. So I like the thought process behind the draft. I would just, after last game, seeing how incredible Sever performed on the Azir and how much he carried that game from start to finish, and how that was the whole thought process of the draft, I'm excited to see what the rest of this team can bring when the onus to win is on them.
But we are going to go to a short little break here. We're going to be back with more League of Legends action just in a little bit. Make sure not to go anywhere, because we'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're joining you for our potential last map of the night. Travelers backs up against the wall. It's 1-0 and DP5. They're looking good. They're looking strong. Joining me back on the desk, we got Jack. How we feeling about this match?
Feeling good. I'm feeling a little bit better about Travelers going into this game. I think they have a lot safer of a composition, and I like seeing YouTube on more of a carry. I've seen throughout the 5 weeks I've done Aegis here, the love for YouTube. Everyone talks about this guy, seems to have a great attitude, and as much as I love Galio, and as well as I think he played last game on the Galio, it's a champion that, you know, after about 15-20 minutes, after, you know, 2 items really, you become just a tank doling out CC. And now having YouTube on a carry, on the Yone, being a integral part of this team, I think it's already a better game plan going into it. So I'm feeling a lot safer, even as Severed shows us how this lane will, for his sake, play out for him. Just Xerath throwing lasers all across the screen, doing so much damage from range. And I think I like the look too from the bot lane of DP5, because they looked at last game and they said, you know, their whole game plan was to play down to us. And now we're going to take the Ezreal, we're going to go a step further, put TP on him, and just sit back and just try and wait out this laning phase.
For sure, yeah. I already am seeing this Xerath putting in the work. YouTube not having a really way into this, and it's kind of just peeking and prodding, and it's the Xerath to really start this damage up.
You have to push when you're playing against a melee, a AD carry in the mid lane like this. You have to push early, because there's a lot of players that'll think like, I'll just sit back, I have the range advantage. But as soon as Yone, or even, you know, Yone, Yasuo, Zed, Talon, any of these AD assassins in the mid lane get their mobility ability, they neutralize any range advantage you might have. As soon as you walk up to CS, they're going to chunk you, and then they're going to walk back. And the threat of them doing it again and killing you is enough to keep them back. So you see Severed played the early phase of this very, very well, pushing him under tower. So now, when he tries to go back in and get those big chunks, he's risking his life as well. And, I mean, landing everything so far. YouTube, luckily, taking that fleet footwork. I know we had some interesting rune choices last time, but I'm glad to see in this matchup, Yone taking the fleet footwork is going to be able to keep him alive through a lot of this laning phase.
All right, early on damage coming out onto the Ezreal here. Gonna be the Karma to get some good damage in, but right now it's kind of domination coming in from each and every lane. Just on opposite sides, YouTube gonna have that E available, but it's not a tool that's really ready for success just yet. Still needing to find a way into the fight. Obviously, that Cosmic Orb just doing so much damage onto the Xerath. So right now YouTube, they can't really get away from it. Now we might see a little bit of a dive here. We do get to see the Pantheon coming in, looking to go for a back. There's going to be the Pantheon trying to get in for a flank, but it's going to be difficult with the tower so close. And only at level 4, being able to get the damage online, you need to wait for the minions to come up. I'm not sure if there's a cannon wave, but if it is, Setter is going to be in trouble. Let's see whether or not that's going to be the case. Honestly, yeah, that's not going to be a cannon wave, but it's not going to matter. The sun comes through. Kill's going to be there. It's the Sivir to secure it, and the turret not going to be able to collect. Not going to be able to find anything. Instead, it's going to be Travelers to try and bring this game back in their favor.
That is why this game runs through Papilio. He sits down there and he says, I don't care that I'm on a ward. I don't care that we don't have minions. I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to wait. And they aren't going to have a choice. Ezreal decides that he's not going to back. I'm a bot lane main. I don't even know how I would play that. Maybe try and TP out to get that faster recall and force the dive without the minions. But at that point, you're thinking, like, can we survive this? Can we just wait it out? I don't know. YouTube getting dangerously low, but Severed not having the mana or the cooldowns. Papilio is going to facilitate holding that wave under turret. But, you know, really great move that YouTube goes in. I think that was almost not on accident, but I don't think he was expecting Severed would be prepared to go forward there. They're shifting again for the Void Grub seemingly bringing up Aorus now, like last game we saw with the Alistar, but again, it's too soon. It's not up for another 30 seconds. Now Karma's just going to walk back bot side. We do have an XP advantage, I guess, an XP advantage in terms of Travelers having less XP on their AD than on their support, but now we end this fight. Papilio's taking so much damage already.
Big stuff from the Maokai there. Not gonna care about the flash from Papilio. It's still gonna be the kill going in their favor. And right now, it's going to be a little bit of a divergence from Travelers. Not going to want to contest. Instead, going to concede the fight. It's going to be a Drake handed over. DP5 going to take that and say, okay, yes, you can give me a Drake, but why not? Let's go for the Void Grubs next.
Yeah, I mean, there's not even going to be a handshake this time, and if Papilio runs all the way across, he's on vision, they're pinging him now, they know he's going to go down for those Void Grubs. Alaskan Kodiak has TP, so he can use the rest of his mana to try and push this wave out, and then back TP and try and contest these Grubs. It looks like they're not going to, even though they have the mid push. They just don't have the numbers on the top side of the map. Papilio, this is going to set him behind. He's already about a camp or two behind, and now he's going to be even further as Maokai clears from bot to top. It's going to throw off the tempo for the rest of this laning phase, most likely, or at least for the next 5 minutes as he waits to cycle those camps again. Yone going in, trying to force something with this Karma present, but isn't able to land much of his kit. Now we just go back to a lane state that is exactly what DP5 want. They want to get some items onto the Ezreal, onto the Xerath. The Maokai is going to get more and more tanky. Ornn's just waiting for items. Now he's going to go all in.
Oh, and a big Ornn ult at that. That's going to be Ryan looking to get taken down, but the ult gets expended, and it's expended for a good thing. Able to get it out, not going to care, and you know, it's not going to be too much of a push from this Ornn either. They're just going to say, okay, you can use your ult, but I got the damage off, I got the CS off, and you're going to have to back up.
I respect that decision by Alaskan Kodiak, honestly. I know there's a lot of people watching who are probably looking at that going, why the hell didn't Ornn just keep walking at her? He would have just been able to kill, but not having any cooldowns up, so much of Ornn's damage comes from hitting those vulnerable targets after that W, after the ultimate. And with Gwen having the ultimate up, if he continued fighting, you would have seen so much lifesteal come onto that Gwen. So Kodiak just opts to just take the advantage, be able to get some breathing room, walks back to lane, full HP, full mana, has that Sunfire component, and now is able to clear out some vision. They just want to wait. Like I said, they just want to wait out the beginning of this game. This is a winning lane for Gwen, so he's just going to be happy to have gotten a moment to get Gwen off of his head for a second. Papilio is clearing bot to top. I don't think we're going to see much unforced action for a little while as we see some nice top lane camaraderie come out there with the emotes. I think we're going to need to see some early vision expended, though, because so much of Traveler's game plan has been Papilio showing up when he's most needed. And with the Nocturne, that's obviously easier to facilitate. Pantheon is quite easy as well. You just hit R and then you're there. But even last game, a lot of times Papilio was going in on vision, and it was just, you know, what are you going to do about it? We have the advantages in our kits. But now I see a lot of vision being put down by DP5 to make sure that if they get ganked, they at least know it's coming.
Yeah, right now looks like some engagements might be seen, but gonna back up before too much damage has been expended. It's gonna be this Yone YouTube looking to try and keep the CS in their mind. And it's, as you said, I mean, these teams both just kind of playing their own game. They're looking for something. We're gonna see a little bit of damage come down with the Maokai switching over, looking to get over to the mid lane. Potentially we're gonna be seeing them contesting for this next pair of Void Grub. It's gonna be coming up in a little bit, but or no, those actually just got missed by everyone. Wow. And now there's only gonna be 3 Void Grubs on the lobby. It's gonna be going for the Travelers and Herald. 1 minute 30 away, so I believe that we're going to be seeing a little bit of an engagement for that more light. Oh, maybe I'm just a liar then. And we are going to be seeing some contestation for the Void Grubs here with Maokai coming up and the Leona going to be available for that as well.
Yeah, he did get that crab though, so when it does spawn, they have that built-in vision, don't have to use their wards as much, although like you said, Leona did get that recharge. Setter's now under turret alone, and with this Karma Sivir, they can do a ton of damage, ensuring they get some of those plates. I already think that we're seeing a more proactive Travelers. I know it's hard to watch last game's early game phase from Travelers and think, how the hell do you call this not proactive? As Maokai, all the ults are coming out. Everything Leona comes in.
That.
I mean, they kind of put the Travelers plan on its head and said, you like using your R buttons for free kills. That's what we're doing. Sever's getting run down, has to flash as well. Pelio was coming in too, so really good flash expended. Xerath, though, I love the ult there, getting rid of that wave, forcing them back. Have to wait till the next wave. They won't be able to just get these free plates anymore. I think, as I was saying, the proactivity I'm seeing out of Travelers, they already have shifted their mindset a little bit to say, you know, we don't want to just be getting some of these empty kills. We want to try and get objectives off the back of them, as I think that E was very wisely used by Ornn, wants to get away, doesn't want Gwen to just shred right through him. And now we have that 3-3 split on the Grubs again, another handshake. They don't want too much fighting too soon, because Xerath doesn't have his item yet. Ezreal is still waiting for the item. The Ezult gets thrown out towards the dragon just to see, and they are going to take it away. So we're in a bit more of an even game state, but with this Hextech coming up, if you're the poke comp, you really want to get this Hextech dragon.
Right now, it's seeming like DP5, they've gotten the kill lead, but they have not gotten up on kills. It's like the opposite of last game right now, and it's actually completely the opposite of last game, because it's mostly been Vertigo who's been really just that playmaker with 2 kills on the board, competing with really just doing everything you could possibly ask for. YouTube's going to go aggressive, able to tank out one of the hits from Severed, but not going to really do too much engaging on that, since that E will be catching him out at some point or another. Luden's companion going to be bought out for the Xerath. So far, seems like we're going to get a Bork bought out for the Yone, which, as you said earlier when we were in the draft, Yone buying out that Bork for dealing with somebody like that Maokai, it's going to be so useful, especially with them buying Leandries, something that does give them at least a little bit of an HP buff. So I am definitely looking forward to seeing that being one of those big plays that could potentially help them get a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, at this point in the game, this is probably the weakest Maokai is ever going to be, because a lot of people, you see that Leandri's mask buy, and you think like, oh, he's going for some weird AP build, he's going to be fine, but this is all you're going to get. He's going to go from that item to building pure tank, and just when you think like, oh, he's running in with his ultimate, he's going to just run into us and die, he's going to do so much damage, and he is going to take absolutely none. So they have to try and find a fight pretty soon if they want to try and leverage some of this mid-game fighting that they got for themselves in the draft. They haven't, at least in the last couple of minutes, been able to utilize their bot push that much, other than grabbing that dragon, which is an improvement from last game. But a lot of stable lane states, they're just kind of handshaking all across the map here, showing topside that, you know, both of them top lane veterans, either played a lot in competitive leagues or playing a lot of solo queue. They know how it goes. Ornn, honestly, shout out to Alaskan Kodiak. Played extremely well last game, is playing extremely well this game, even now ahead in CS after picking up that wave in this losing matchup. Really well played, and again, he's going to try and go for an all-in here.
Oh, look at that. That's Ryan taken down. This is 2 games in a row we're going to be seeing DP5 taking that lead when it comes to those feats of warfare. So I'm really liking how they're playing the early game here. They give kills to the Ornn and Maokai. Not going to be giving kills to their carries in that Xerath and Ezreal. So instead, they're going to have a lot of tankiness coming into that mid-game position. 15 minutes in, we're going to be seeing that second or third Drake on the board soon enough. Going to be Utah's bought out for the Sivir as well. So going to look to scale in that lane as well.
Yeah, we haven't, and we still don't have a buy from Yone. He's about I'd have to estimate, because you got those components. I think he just got him. If he doesn't have Bork on this back, he's going to be in a rough situation. He does have it. He is not in a rough situation. So we are clear on that end. But I love the symbiotic shoes buy from Xerath. He knows that all he is supposed to do this game is throw out his abilities. And to facilitate that in the early game, he needs to just completely empty the mana bar. I see so many players play a champion like Xerath, play a champion like Orianna or Syndra, and think, I've got to get a tier item because I need the mana to be able to use all of my abilities enough in a fight. But once you get to this high level of this Master, Grandmaster, and Challenger leagues, uncapped leagues, you see a lot more, a lot more concise use of these abilities. Setter is just asleep.
Oh my gosh, Setter just getting completely burned down as Papillo to secure the kill. And that's a big one right there. Able to shut down this Ezreal, put him in the coffin. And I mean, 0-2, it's not going to be the scoreline you want to be at, especially when, as we remember, it was DP5's bot lane last game that was really playing strongly. We get to see a ult coming out from this mid lane. Xerath gonna get a little bit of damage off, poking, but not gonna be able to get enough to really make it a justifiable usage. I mean, Drake's gonna spawn, and seems as if nobody's really in a good position to take it from this blue side. But yeah, never mind, actually, the Pantheon's gonna be right outside.
They're walking up. They are in vision. They aren't going to be on vision in a second. Got the control word here. I really, I kind of almost wrote it down as a joke because I was looking for stats to put down for Aorus on Travelers, but the highest CS per minute, I feel like we saw it a lot last game, is they are going to go for an engage.
Oh, look at that. Some great stuff coming in. The Ornal, it's going to be their Grasp of Nature. It's going to be able to find a triple stun, but it's going to be the Freak Controller. Going to be able to get that YouTube down. Pantheon's going to get hit by the Ignite, but still, though, Papilio is going to be shut down. And oh my gosh, look at this damage. It's going to be the AD carry. Going to be able to find one, but not going to be enough. Still, though, Gwen's going in. Ryan's going to find one, looking to get the second, but still going to be able to do it. Ryan with the double kill, shutting down their opponent. And Alaskan getting taken off the board. Chower's gonna fall after, and a lot of players are gonna fall down.
That was such a strange team fight. If you asked me halfway through who was gonna win that, I would have bet my life that DP5 was gonna win it. Maokai hit a 4-man ultimate. The Yone only landed onto the Leona. It almost looked as if everything that could go wrong went wrong for Travelers, and even past that point, Xerath hit a max range stun onto the Sivir without the spell shield up, and Barco Duck went down so low, and I thought, well, as soon as the Sivir was actually able to put out some damage, now she's going to be dead. But no one actually finished off the kill. It ended up being Vertigo flash smiting to do the damage to end it. And by that point, Ryan Pakes had hexgated in behind them and was able to clean it up the whole time. Setter was on top side taking a turret. But again, just like we talked about last game, they get these great fights. They aren't able to get any advantages off, and now they're going to try and get the dragon.
Oh, big Pantheon ult there. It's going to be the dragon taken down. Looks like they want to go for more. Going to be Vertigo. Going to be shut down first. It's going to be really good. Taking the Drake. Taking the kill. It's exactly what you would have asked for if you're Travelers.
And they needed to get that away because you can't afford to give neither the Soul nor the Stacking Dragons over to DP5 when they have the Ezreal and the Xerath picks. So now, already, we're seeing a much more stable game state than last game, where it felt like just because all of these champions had these ultimates that could force them forward, they had to use them because they weren't able to gain any tangible advantages off of the kills they were getting. But now they have a much more straightforward fight. They don't have to use everything to win some of these fights. And even you see, they don't even have to have even numbers to win some of these fights. They can rely on the damage that's going to come through from the Yone, from the Sivir, from the Gwen. Gwen now completing that Nashor's Tooth, has the Shadow Flame, going to be doing so much damage with the kit. You don't have to see many pen items come through for the Gwen because it's already built into the kit so well. So now when we see these team fights, we haven't really gotten to see a standard 5-on-5 front to back fight, but when we do, Ornn and Maokai and Leona for that part, they aren't going to stand up to much because the Gwen is going to shred through them, the Yone is going to shred through them, even Pantheon with the Sundered Sky. It isn't going to make much of a difference how many tank items they have or how many, you know, Fimble Winter shields they get off. And they're able to get this advantage too. Vertigo isn't able to get the steal.
Well, already Rocket's going to be expended. Not going to go for more. Instead, backing up, conceding the fight. We know that Vertigo is low, so we're not going to try and engage. That's the mindset of Dizzy P5 right now. They know that they don't want to contest this because as of now, they can't really win those fights, as you were saying.
I mean, I'm seeing a couple things this game that are already way different from the last, not only in composition, but just some of the minor decisions. We said last game from Travelers, we didn't really feel like it was a mechanical difference. And now in this game, I'm seeing some small things come out here. I'm not nearly as good as any of these players, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but I'm not a huge fan of the Fimble Winter buy on the Ornn. I think it helps him in lane a lot, and obviously we saw that kill come through, partly because able to keep up that mana, but it translated into, you know, the Gwen having a 200 gold shutdown. It didn't gain too much. And then having the double lockets, I really just feel like it's not that cost effective, especially when you've got the Maokai on the first item, Leandries. You need to start building some of those tank items because, I mean, when you get into these fights, the Maokai's got to run forward, stand on top of the entire team to do any of his CC. So you're going to need him to survive for quite a while, getting those heals off the passive. So seeing some minor mistakes coming out in this game compared to last, certainly still in a pretty stable game state. They still have a really clear path towards victory because you have the Ornn CC, you have the Maokai CC, the Leona. They have very clear, you know, team fight goals. And then the Xerath and Ezreal, it doesn't really matter what they decide on for, you know, positioning or angles. As long as they're able to stay alive throughout the fights, they're going to have the items and the kits to deal a ton of damage.
Look at this. Going into the jungle, looking to try and get some contestation. I don't know whether or not we're going to be seeing TPs coming down. Obviously, Ryan's not going to have theirs. Maybe we'll see the Ornn going for one as well. The Drake spawning in 57 seconds. It's enough time to walk down if you're these top laners, try and get a 5v5 engagement off. As we can see, almost a 1,000 gold lead for Travelers right now. So that's a big thing you've got to start to deal with if you are on Dizzy P5, and they got to be asking themselves the same thing. Right now, you hand over this Drake, you're going to be in a bad spot. Similar to the Otacon, but the Otacon 17,000 HP. It's going to be difficult to nail down, but right now it's still just anyone's game, and they're all playing so defensively, looking to try and gather up towards the mid lane, though. Travelers potentially going to start this engagement.
Yeah, but they pushed that mid lane in so quickly. Sivir having the IE, having the Yuntals, no attack speed items yet, but getting the attack speed through the kit, able to just disintegrate any mid lane that comes up, forcing DP5 into a disadvantageous position going into this river. It feels like the game's almost flipped on its head, where last game, a lot of the macro decisions that Travelers weren't as good, where this game, I mean, they flipped the map, so Gwen's pushing bot because she doesn't have TP. You can't have her on top side. YouTube goes up top side to push that out because he has the TP. Just a really great macro decision being made, and now we're going to see that 5v5. They already got the dragon, and never mind. They're not even going to try. That DP5 just says, you know what? We don't have the position to fight this. We don't have the angles to fight this or the vision. We can't afford to keep giving over the gold and accelerating the scaling they have on the Sivir and the Yone. We're not going to win a fight into the Gwen, so now they're just kind of giving these objectives now, just taking this time, and the only win they're going to get is clearing out some of this vision.
Yeah, I don't love that. I think that if DP5 wasn't planning on fighting for the Drake, they probably could have just gone like top lane and taken the tower or something. But okay, DP5 might have just found their way back into the game with engagement onto the Otacon. Early damage gonna be found out, and oh, look at this. Teleport comes in. Gwen barely gonna be able to make their way out, but not before taking a little bit of damage. Still though, Otacon, 1000 HP, gonna start regaining like crazy. Ward is gonna be placed, but instantly destructed. All 5 defenders on this Otacon looking to make their mark. Take this away instantly. YouTube can engage, forced to disengage fast. There's gonna be the root coming in from the Karma. There's gonna be the Ornalt as well. Gonna be able to get a knock up onto the players of this top lane, but still not gonna go for much. There's gonna be the Otacon slayed down for Travelers, but not gonna be going for much. YouTube falls after finding one. Vertigo's gonna be able to get the kill. It's still looking like a little bit of an engagement. Herald gets spawned out, but it's just not enough for DP5 to do anything. So many critical HP players, and they're forced to back up once more. Oh, they want to fight. They want to go scrappy. They want to engage. There's the Herald. The Herald says, boom, Airborne comes out. They're diving in deep. But okay, maybe a little bit of too much I'm expecting here.
Going through the mid lane, I have no idea what's happening, and it's still going. The Maokai ult comes through, but Filio's locked down now.
Oh, big stop, but the Pantheon with the re-engage, completely demolishing their opponents, but it's the Ornn to save. The peel is so good, forcing out the flash. Vertigo wants to get more, but the root's gonna be too much to handle, and Papilio is going to counteract their engagement and force that aggression, and it's so good. Travelers has been playing out of their minds.
Now that whole sequence was a good old-fashioned fiesta. They start the Otacon. I think the initial play, if you guys can even remember that far back, was a good idea. They clear out all the vision. They see the entirety of Travelers go back to base, and they think, okay, they all just backed. Let's start the Otacon. But they don't really have the damage nor the champs to burn it quickly. So all it takes is Ryan Pakes' TP off cooldown right in the back of their team, and they're too afraid of that flank to go for it. But then the critical mistake you see teams make is they feel like, oh, we just pushed them off this objective. How about we take it now? And I was sitting here shaking my head, just going, no, Travelers, please don't do it. It's such a bad idea. And then they just one by one walk back in. YouTube, you know, Yone goes in with no HP, gets killed, gets a 1-for-1 on the Leona. That's not worth it. And then they just keep walking forward into them. And by the end of it, I think it was almost an even fight up until they tried to catch out the Pantheon with the Sundered Sai, Black Cleaver, Merc Treads, who you're never going to catch out because he's just going to stun onto your head and then throw up his shield. I mean, that's why you gotta love League. You gotta love leagues like this. These teams are willing to just throw it all on the line. They're willing to give us these really entertaining games. And I think we haven't mentioned enough in this game, at least, you know, Travelers, their backs are against the wall when it comes to this, you know, their future in this league. This is their last week until the qualifiers, if they can get in, and getting in would require winning this game at least. So I'm happy to see them really turn up the energy and turn up the decision making for this fight. And other than, you know, I believe a little bit of a blunder to start up that Otacon after you force them off, they respond very well. And now 25 seconds until Hextech Soul, they all just backed, spent the last of their gold. They're all coming back out onto the map. You see the 3 items for Sivir. She's huge. The Karma has the Moonstone Renewer. 2 items on the Yone, 2 items on the Pantheon. Gwen wasn't able to get that Rabadons. That would have been massive. But I mean, Travelers right now are very strong. They're going to get a tiny bit stronger than they are now if the Gwen finishes at Rabadons. But for now, he should not have gone back in.
Oh, not the solo kill.
Yeah.
Oh no, Ryan Pakes. Good
I mean,
stuff.
much better game. And now they're saying we got to go in.
Oh, look at this engagement. They're all alone. Nothing you can ask for. Freaked are gonna be taken down. Soul point on the line, and without your support, it's gonna be dirty. There's the kill. Setter's gonna be able to find YouTube. A little bit of a blunder from him, but not too little, not too. It's finally gonna look like some kind of signs of life are shown for DP5, but right now top turret's gonna be destroyed. Looks like Ryan's just gonna be able to get healed completely, and you can't even be unhappy if you're Travelers despite losing that soul.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be happy if you're DP5. That could have been a lot worse. I think that was somewhat of a mistake by Travelers to not just go for the dragon. I mean, a bit of an interesting decision. They see Ryan Pakes get that solo kill on top side, and I'm sure that they were thinking, we've got a numbers advantage on the map right now. If we can force a fight, Gwen has the TP, she might be able to join, but you use all of those abilities and all of those cooldowns just to get the Leona. They've got plenty of CC from the Maokai and plenty of damage because both their carries are still up. And now they're pushing through as a unit. I like the decision making now. I like seeing the jungler and the support be on the same side of the map, because if they lose Baron, I know it's the even amount of Void Grubs, but 3 Void Grubs and a Baron, when you have a Sivir and a Karma, you're not going to be able to defend these turrets for long. And when I was saying about Travelers not being much stronger throughout the rest of the game, the Gwen is as strong as she's going to be. The Yone is as strong as he's going to be. The Sivir, once she gets an attack speed item, could get a bit stronger, but for now, just relying on the kit, flash forward.
Oh, good damage instantly coming out. There's going to be Ezreal. Going to be able to connect a little bit. Locket's coming through. Good ult from the Maokai as well. Not going to be able to connect too much, unfortunately, though. TP's coming in, but it's still not going to be enough. Lots of brutally low HP, but it's not going to come down to that. It's going to come down to the Yone TPing in. Shuts down the first. Moving over to the bot lane. Good damage and good solo. Barely missing out on the solo kill. Double turrets. Going to be able to hit onto Ryan, but still, though, some good gameplay coming in. And DP5 able to weather the storm a little bit, but they're still down 4,000 gold.
I am not an advocate of cheating. I don't think that people should cheat in esports. Someone's got to tell Papilio that they're ahead, because he is making very desperate plays right now, flashing onto carries or onto tanks in the mid lane with no vision, and he's lucky that wasn't just a 1-for-nothing they turn and get Baron, because Ezreal walks back forward trying to turn that. I think that if they had just killed Papilio and walked away, that would have been a great play, but they got a little greedy, wanted more. YouTube ends up getting the kill onto Setter, and that kind of resets the map, because you don't have the Ezreal. Zero's the only damage dealer on the map right now. But now they're going to reset. They're going to walk down. Setter's coming out of base. And we haven't really talked about it yet, but this Ezreal's pretty huge as well, having that 3-item spike, looking for the Bloodthirster, but that's not going to add too much than what he already has. But we really need to see from Travelers them kind of tidy this game up, because if we get to a minute 45 and DP5 is able to get another dragon, put themselves on soul point, have those 2 Hextech dragons, the Xerath and Ezreal aren't going to allow you to have a really fair 5v5, because with all that poke, you're not going to start a fight at full HP into that. You're going to be worn down, and you're going to be starting low as we see the Pantheon going again into this mid lane.
Oh, look at this. It's severed, getting found out, getting shut down. Travelers are doing so good right now. They've already just kind of taken this game by storm. It seems like it's inevitable we go to a game at number 3 here, but so far nothing's confirmed. And as we know, DP5, they can be so good despite being down kills. There's gonna be the spell shield expended, a little bit of damage going to be applied. There's the Baron, and that's gonna be extremely strong. Travelers are gonna be so happy with that. They've found both the Otacon and the Baron so far. We're 34 minutes into this game. If you can extend this game a little bit longer, DP5, you might not even need to worry about a gold lead. If you can get to everyone having 6 items, you'll just be happy the way you are. But right now, there's still gonna be Travelers who are up so much.
Yeah, DB5 made good decisions off of that Baron. I'm glad they didn't chase. They didn't go for anything reckless. They pushed out the waves. They tried to get some vision. They know that this dragon's going to be up in 20 seconds. Ornn's giving another one of his items, but now, I mean, this Travelers team is just so far ahead right now. They run in, throw off that speed up. They're going in now.
Oh, look at that damage. Ryan Pake's finding the first, trying to back out, not going to be able to do it. The Maokai is going to be the next to fall. It's so good for Travelers, and they've developed themselves even further. Baron buffs coming in. They want to go for more. YouTube's going to be connected. Not going to be able to find much more from YouTube just yet, but with so much abilities on the line, they have their ult available. Lots of ult available. Now that we look over on the left side, there's a Pantheon who has been diving so well right this game. But oh, look at that damage. Gonna try and get shut down. Freakstar taken offline, looking for the next. Gonna be able to connect it. Ryan looking for a third, but gonna back off after the flash gets expended.
This Gwen is so far ahead, has the Rabadons now. I was sitting here shaking my hands, being like, please, Travelers, turn around and go get the dragon. They were sitting at bot turret with one cannon, just waiting for it to go down. Now they have it. They have the Hex Tech Soul. It's going to be so difficult for DP5 to fight into this comp, not only because they have such good range, not only because they have such good wave clear. Now, when they go in, the damage off of Hex Tech, they have to fight now. They have a numbers advantage. YouTube's going so deep.
Oh, look at this. Kills coming out left and right. That's gonna be the double kill from YouTube. Inhibitors getting broken. Kills coming out once more. Ryan Pake secures the first legendary. Going for more. First tower broken. Second tower broken. Game gets broken. And Travelers flip the script and secure a map 3.
I mean, completely recovered from last game. Such a better play style and a game plan in this game too. You give Ryan Pake something that he can just run the game with. He had that early death, but it didn't really turn into anything. And I mean, you saw in that last play, Gwen just 1v3ing in the mid lane, takes the turret, takes the inhibitor, grabs 2 kills, 42.7 thousand damage coming out from the Gwen. I mean, this was like a completely different Travelers team.
That is absolutely dominant. I mean, look at that. 21 and 10, 44 assists, 10 kills, 21 deaths, and 23 assists. That's just not what you want to see whatsoever.
I mean, a complete turnaround. Last game, they had the kill lead, but they weren't able to take a single tower. They weren't able to get, I think they didn't get a single dragon. They got 3 void grubs, and now they got everything they want. They changed up the game plan. They got the macro back online. And going into this game 3, it's funny because after that game 1, we were saying, oh, looks like it's going to be a 2-0. Great stuff shown by DP5. But now we're going to be 30 champions deep once we get through the ban phase, and seeing some of the flexibility shown by this Travelers team. You can get the Gwen thrown up there. Pantheon goes into the jungle. We still have some great junglers available. The Sivir allows you to still have some great hyper carries available. So going into a game 3, now I think this whole thing's turned on its head.
Oh, yeah. This is insane. I mean, we're going to game 3 here. We got 10 bans each game from the Fearless draft. So there's going to be very few characters that these players are going to be really comfortable on. So let's see how that's going to work. I'm expecting that same Ivern and Vi ban to come through. So the jungle is especially going to be extremely empty.
Yeah, and if we see the bans come out from Travelers taking away the Mbessa Flex, that's another jungler down technically. So I think the Wukong was being banned as well. So we're going to have to get really deep into these pools. No Nocturnes, no Pantheons now. So we have a much smaller pool when we look at these 80 junglers. But even if they decide to go AP, I didn't mind. His KD didn't look great, and some of his decisions were kind of strange. But YouTube on the Yone, I would feel confident in him playing another 80 champion in the mid lane and trying to bring that damage profile through there.
Yeah, this is absolutely dominant. But I don't know. Do you have any closing things before we head to a break here, or should we just go to map number 3 after this quick break?
I think whoever gets the more proactive jungle pick might be whoever wins the game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is going to be it from us here for at least a little bit, but make sure to stay tuned because we are 1-1 right now. Both these teams are giving their all, and we have no clue how the series is going to end. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're returning to you with our third and final match of the AML. Looking to conclude this series, we're going to be seeing whether or not our underdogs in the side of Travelers will be able to keep this reverse sweep going and avoid relegation, or will Dizzy's P5 be able to potentially make it into the playoffs as that higher seed who still has not been able to claim their spot guaranteed? As we remember, this is going to be Fearless Draft, so make sure we can watch out for some of these bands not getting picked up. And oh my gosh, it is a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of really premier picks being gone right now. Cassante, no Rel, you got no Corky, no Azir, no Ez. So we're going to be getting into some more of the high skill expression champions, because I'm trying to think of mobile AD carries that are left. We have Tristana, but that's more of a mid lane pick nowadays. Zeri is available, but we don't see that as much. The only champ that I can think of that's very high mobility is Kalista, and there's only one player I've seen in this league play it, and that's Arbiter, and he's probably one of the MVPs of this league. So not a champ I feel comfortable on, and certainly not a champ I would be playing if I weren't comfortable on it in a game 3 of a series you really needed to win. I just took a look at the standings. I thought that Travelers were 1-3 at this point. They're only 1-2, and DP5 are 2-1. So Travelers win this game, they could look at not only kind of cementing their spot into the qualifiers, but they could leapfrog a couple of spots up in this division. That's going to be made a lot harder by DP5 getting this Aurora first pick. It is such a strong champion, and especially taking it away from Travelers as it is a flex for them. They put it in top lane pretty often. So I think right now, I know some teams have been valuing Skarner a little bit less after the nerfs, but I think maybe you want to pick up that Skarner here in this first rotation.
Yeah, okay, yes, this is insane. Misfortune going to be picked up, which is a little bit odd because the Rel's not going to be here, nor the Leona, so I'm kind of curious on what they're going to pair it with, especially since that Alistar is gone as well. I don't know if you have any ideas. Oh, well, we already know it. That's going to be the Braum to go with the Misfortune.
I mean, that is very risky if they pull out Braum right now. He's one of my favorite champions to pick in that second rotation, but now that it's locked in, I mean, I think Auroras looked so much better on that range support last game than in the first game on the Rel. Not being forced on a playmaker allowed him so much more freedom around the map, and Karma allows you with so much more ability in terms of, you know, doling out damage in those fights, in turn being able to heal and shield so much. We do see the Zeri come out. I like this pickup for DP5, kind of get you back into that mindset you had in that first game of just like, let's just scale. Because when Travelers had that pushing lane bottom, it allowed them a much easier laning phase compared to that first game. They were getting killed under the enemy tower, they were getting ganked a ton. The only times they were able to turn around is when they had the Nocturne over their shoulder. But now it's gonna be Misfortune Braum just getting pelted by Zeri and Lulu. It's gonna be a really tough lane. I think right now you've got to use this R3 to really decide how you're going to finish off the draft, how you're going to finish off, excuse me, this strategy, because the counter into Zeri is typically Vi, because you just hit R and then she's dead. And I would say without Vi, the second best option on the map would be Nautilus, but they already locked in Braum. So they're going to lock in the Aurelia and make sure that Ryan Pakes has another carry top laner. The guy's played 253 solo queue games. He's got a ton of games on Aurelia, so I trust him on this pick. But I can't say I love the composition coming out of Travelers so far compared to DP5.
Okay, let's see this. Irelia and Lulu gonna be our last two picks, and Zeri as well. I mean, I kind of was hoping for Zeri, I can't even speak. Zeri Yumi, potentially, because I love watching Yumi. Yumi's just so fun, especially Zeri. I was kind of expecting potentially Travelers to try and lock in the Zeri, because that movement-based character can be so just like dominant, especially when you like have that play style that they do, where you love to play aggressive, love to play fast. Yeah, I don't know. Travelers, they have some bans left, and yeah, those are gonna be the last two bans. Locking in that Mordekaiser and set to be off the table, looking to kind of hope this Aurora's played mid, and then the Sejuani's gonna be banned out as well from DP5. Let's see what they pair it with. Do they really try and suffocate the jungles? Do they try and go for some top bans themselves? That's gonna be the question.
They got to keep going for range on DP5. I don't know if they're able to play it or if they're practiced enough to play it. This is a great Jace angle. A lot of people see Braum and they get hesitant about poke comps. They think, oh, he's going to put up the shield, we're not going to be able to do it. But when you're looking at a whole team of ranged characters, or at least like 3 of the 5, who's the Braum going to be tagging with his passive? Who is he going to be hitting with his ultimates? He can only shield in one direction. This Braum is going to be thrown all around. The Aurelia has a very clear identity: is go forward, tag as many people, just be a menace. But now I think they're realizing the composition they've drafted themselves needs to skirmish, and Viego is one of the best when it comes to that. He did take a nerf a couple of patches ago that kind of hit his play rate, not only in solo queue but in the pros. But I know that Papilio loves this champ, plays it a ton in solo queue, has played it so far in Aegis Marauders League. But it's going to be met with another one of these junglers' favorite picks. Vertigo plays a ton of this Rek'Sai and has played it a ton in this league. And I can't remember anyone else playing this champion. But now, once you get the Rek'Sai out onto the map, I've seen a couple of Rek'Sai one-tricks saying that this champion is just terrible right now. But I feel like when you get into a competitive and communicative environment in this 5v5, the amount of disruption that Rek'Sai can bring into a team fight is so great. The flank angles that can be found, and Vertigo, the communication with Alaskan Kodiak in that first game was very bright. And now Alaskan Kodiak is going to get a safe top lane pick. I really like the TP5 comp they've grabbed here, where it's just you get Lulu to protect Zeri, Rek'Sai and Renekton go forward and just distract, and then Aurora, hops out of nowhere and blows up your carry in 1 second. And I don't know what Miss Fortune's going to do to stop that, because she can't move anywhere.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm liking the Silas Viego. I mean, what? So that means Aurelia's going to be played in the top lane more likely than not. And I think Aurelia into the Renekton. It's not horrible. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to play out. DP5, I don't know. Aurora, it was one of those characters that was banned a lot. So I'm kind of curious on how that's going to really work out for him. But let's see. Anyways, we're gonna go to a short little break here, and then when we get back, we're gonna be going in with our third and final map. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you stay tuned, because we got big games coming up for you.
Here we are for our game 3, our final game in this series. Sherry, what are we thinking?
Oh my gosh, look at this setup. Now, what happens when the Renekton gets called out here? Because that would be peak cinema. But I don't know if they know. This would be amazing if they don't, because that would be hilarious. Oh, but they definitely know now. Can they get out? Not a whole ton of CC, but there's going to be the Silas coming in immediately. Flash not even available. And it's the Irelia securing kill number 1. And Jack, that's got to be the funniest thing I've seen all day.
Yeah, that's got to feel bad, because it's not even like he was like in a spot where he had nowhere to go. He just got ran up on by 5 guys. There's nowhere he had to just react quicker. So it kind of feels bad to judge, because it's like, oh, what do you do in that case? It's like, be looking. But I like the decision making by Travelers. They've been getting into these games every single time and having these very kind of hit or miss laning phase in early games where they're just trying to force fights everywhere, and some of them go their way, some of them don't, and they just kind of hope that more go their way than don't. But this time they have a very clear plan coming into the game, and they execute, they get the 5-man top, they pick out that Renekton, and now Irelia starts this lane with a cloth armor. That's going to be massive for these early skirmishes. Has the bone plating as well, going to help so much. And across the rift, seeing some pretty standard runes coming out here. The electrocute on the Silas, opting to get as much damage down as possible. Already seeing what that Aurora can bring, why it was banned so often, able to just do so much damage.
Yeah, right now, 1 kill already found. The Irelia is going to be up. The Renekton's going to be way down. Only 7 CS. That's a big lead if you really think about early game. YouTube already, though, such a detrimental HP line. That's the oppressiveness you get out of the Aurora. It's just so strong. And right now, DP5, they're playing their content. They're trying to play a little bit safer because they know they're at least a little bit down. 200 gold. So a lot of assists have come out on the board. This Braum as well can be able to provide so much cover.
I know it's going to help him throughout most of this laning phase, but knowing how good this bot lane duo of Setter and Freaktor is, I'm very confident that with this scaling lane, they're either going to get out of this lane just, gliding on their way towards those 2-3 item spikes for the Zeri, or they're going to find a timer where Braum shield is down. This is going to be a kill. I mean, you get that early kill, you get that cloth armor, there's no need to worry about the trading patterns because Renekton just can't do the damage back. And now Ryan, I asked the Twitch chat during the spectator delay whose comp they liked better, and my favorite response was, I like the one with Ryan. So you put him on a carry champion, put him on the Gwen last game, one slight mistake ends up leading to the only blemish on his KD, but now give him the Irelia, gets the early kill, gonna go back to lane with a Vamp Scepter now. The only silver lining coming out of this top lane is at least Renekton's not missing too much CS, gets killed on a decent timer, is able to come back to an even lane state. Aurelia's not going to use the teleport. Silas is going to use the teleport. Great trade back onto the Aurora. Make sure that he doesn't waste that TP, forces the Aurora to have to go back and use hers as well now, Rek'Sai covering. But we're seeing a bit of a flip in this bottom lane too now, and we have Viego coming in. If they're able to get a tag on, this could be a dive angle, but they aren't. Freaktor flashes out. Already seeing much more proactivity in the early game from Travelers than we've seen in a little while.
Wow. This Irelia solo kill on the top lane. Vampiric Scepter now having some cloth as well for a little bit of shield. At this point, they don't need damage. They just need to make sure this Renekton never gets a chance. With the long sword and a refillable potion, they're going to be at least a little bit happy. But, I mean, a little bit happy doesn't help too much. The gold deficit has actually completely closed, though. 8k. And actually, TV5, despite being down 2 kills, they've completely just gained the gold lead. which is kind of absurd to think about. The Silas here already at a low HP again. It's been so good gameplay from this Aurora, especially with that electrocute rune. Wait, no. The complete feats of warfare pound from the Aurelia and the Aurelia alone.
Ryan Pakes does not lose. He took that first game personally. He wants to show up for this Traveler squad, backs against the wall. He wants to be the reason that they win and continue on in the Aegis Marauders League. And as of right now, I can't really think of a better champion to do that on than this Aurelia. I mean, I don't really know how Zeri is going to fare once that Aurelia ultimate comes out and she gets disarmed. That's going to do so much work to really shaking up these team fights. Renekton's going to have to really change up this game plan. Got 3 swords and a shield. I don't think that's the right direction I would have liked to see. I mean, I'm not a big Renekton player, so I don't really know how you could deviate from the typical like build path, but you just gotta kind of hope that he can find an angle in this build path where he's going to be a bit more useful sooner. And off of this early pressure, you're seeing bottom lane pushed in, mid lane pushed in, because YouTube got a good timer and got a good trade. They immediately take the dragon and start the stacking. I mean, this has been pretty crazy to watch. As he had to ult or he was going to be dead again, just get run down. But this Travelers team, even though they won last game, and even though they looked pretty good last game, I feel like even this, what we're seeing is a completely different team. They're so much more proactive. Their macro's so much better. They're getting all these objectives. They're timing on perfect timers. YouTube still kind of told a little bit, and now he's dead. So
yeah, this is absurd. DP5, they're finally doing something here. But
Here
right now, it's still 3 kills on this Aurelia and 3 deaths on this Renekton. Looks like we're seeing another engagement. Papilio is going to be able to find one. Great stuff from them. Looking to link up, potentially switching over, able to turn into the Lulu. Maybe not the best pick, but they're going to have it anyways. And alrighty, ult comes in from the Aurelia, but in a 2v1 situation, there's no way they get away with this. They don't get away with this. Please tell. Okay, thank God they don't get away. That would have been absurd.
He almost got the kill back onto the Renekton. I think at some point Ryan decided he was going to try and just thin the wave. There was no way he was going to get out without the flash. But I think he hit the cannon and didn't get the Q reset. Otherwise, he would have been able to take Alaskan Kodiak down with him. And that, you know, I don't know if they timed it. We can't see chat. But they killed that Aurelia right on her flash timer. And that's a huge shutdown onto the Rek'Sai. Gets the Tiamat. That's going to... I already had the Tiamat, but now probably going to be able to look towards a completed item, really accelerate. If they get this kill onto YouTube too, that'd be huge.
Oh, look at this damage coming in immediately. It's going to be a little bit of HP remaining. Vertigo going to be able to get the kill onto YouTube, but it's a trade 1-for-1, and it's the Rek'Sai to fall down. Switch over. Good stuff coming in from the Viego, but might get a little bit more potentially. Slow comes out, but not going to do anything.
It's funny, after these 2 games we've witnessed, and each game the supports have just roamed mid on this exact same timer, no grubs available, dragon's been taken, and the supports just roam up, and finally in game 3 it pays off. They're able to flank the Rek'Sai after she gets the kill onto Silas. I think this series has truly been an evolution. For each of these teams, you saw DP5 play the scaling so well into that, you know, full press R team fight comp. And then in that second game, you saw Travelers play the scaling so much better. And now it's a complete flip. Travelers are the ones dominating the early game, and DP5 is just kind of hoping that they can scale. Another good trade by Severed. He's kind of been the shining light on TP5 throughout the entire series. The only player who's been consistent throughout all 3 games. Even the Xerath last game was able to put down a ton of damage throughout all phases of the game. And now again, this is a winning matchup for the Aurora, but able to really take advantage and not just have a slight advantage. Zeri's going to go forward, but just immediately disengaged by the Braum ultimate. I think I think they might be feeling a little bit desperate, but Severed's gonna probably die here. He is gonna die.
Oh, look
here.
at that. Oh,
I mean,
this is absurdity.
I mean, now we're not just dealing with one Fed carry on the side of Travelers in this Aurelia, but now the Viego is so accelerated. 10 minutes into the game, Viego has a Kraken Slayer, Aurelia has the Bork. We do see the Eclipse being bought from the side of the Renekton, so we are getting, you know, some amount of equal gold here, and we are going to once again see the Void Grubs traded over. Dragon is going to come up in 35 seconds. I hope to see, yeah, they're going to base. Braum is basing, Viego is basing. They're going to try and get back out onto the map. They already have all the vision they need down there. Setter is going to have to just walk up and fight. He doesn't have the best items, but, you know, there's not much you can ask for from Zeri at this point in the game. I think if Travelers can get this second dragon and really accelerate their scaling, it's going to go a long way towards bridging into this late game, because these champions do kind of fall off. Misfortune's going to hit her peak well before Zeri hits hers, and the Aurelia is going to do less and less the longer this game goes on, as the Rek'Sai and Renekton start to build a bit of resistance. Lulu gets the ability power to really make these shields count. And now they're just, I like what DP5's doing. They know that the dragon's going to come up. They know that they're going to walk into it, so they're just kind of waiting in a bush, hoping someone walks through. There's a lot of just kind of hoping that comes out when you get behind in these early games and you don't really have a strategy to get out of the hole.
Oh, yeah. Drake's been found. It's looking like we might see another one being found as well. Yes, we will, but it's going to be for the opposite side this time. DP5, they want to try and engage. There's going to be the counter engage, though, from TRV. Looking to potentially concede this Drake, but no. They want to go back for it. They want to try and find this. This flip could go either way. But right now, it's going to be the engage. If Beyond Worlds gets found out, there's going to be the Braum going for more. Unstoppable gets found out from the Viego. Shut down, and it's going to be the Rek'Sai. Securing the first. 1-for-1 on the Drakes, though. Some good stuff coming out. DP5 having exactly what they would have asked for. Right now, though, they need to get more. They need to really even out this gold lead and get it further in their hands, because right now, they're only up around 800. If they can extend this, that's going to be really nice.
It ended up working out very well. I was concerned at first when they started it and peeled off. I figured if you're going to start it, why would you peel right off of it? We do see the miss here flash. They're going to commit everything to try and get Ryan, but another flash, and they do get him at the cost of Rek'Sai's flash and Renekton's flash. So I hope that they can do something with this advantage, because we're kind of seeing, like I said, we're seeing a bit of an inverse. They do get that dragon, which is huge, but they're committing a lot into these team fight, or into these small skirmishes where they're getting a kill onto the Aurelia, preventing that crazy snowball from coming out. But are they really gaining permanent advantages on the map? No turrets taken. It's early. It's only 13 minutes. No turrets taken. We see CS pretty big advantages on the side of DP5. This Rek'Sai has been farming extremely well. Vertigo has had good games nearly every time. The Maokai was pretty good last game, found good engages. But we're seeing items being completed now, both sides. Misfortune's opting for that Bloodthirster first, trying to get some really early power spikes, trying to flip the favor of these fights. I get it. I mean, last fight, you're so far ahead. You had the established vision in the Dragon Pit, and they just start it in your face, win the smite, and then grab a kill. You want to try and make use of these early leads you've gained to try and not just, you know, find kills in lane, but find objectives and find permanent advantages.
Oh, look at that. Beyond Worlds gonna come out again, keeping them in a little puddle, but the ult coming in from the Lulu gonna keep them alive. Still though, good stuff, forcing out the flash, and Breakster gonna get out unharmed, unwavering. Still DP5 keeping this gold lead.
Really good disengage there. It's a good thing Lulu was there. Outnumbered, they're managing to get out of these fights. Aurelia, I think it can be kind of tricky for some of these teams when you get a laner so far ahead. Aurelia, every single trade is going to go exactly like that. So they just have to keep trading. But I like seeing now, they're reading my mind. You have to try and transition to this top side and get this Aurelia out of the lane. All the gold in her pocket and the advantage she has is no use if it's just being used to force Renekton under tower. That's not going to gain you anything. They need to get this turret down and they need to get Aurelia out onto the map. Or they need to invest bottom lane and get this Misfortune into a position where she can transition mid lane and they can 1-3-1. We need to see either one of these teams really grab a hold of this game, utilize the advantage they have. They are going to go now for the mid lane onto Severed, but they're not able to land the CC.
Oh, good damage coming in. Looks like another Aurora ult's going to be there. Some great self-heal. Polymorphing over, but still going to be able to get out, but not for long. Severed to get the kill. Some good stuff coming out. Able to even up the kill deficit, but a 2k advantage coming in for DP5. They've been playing good, but it seems like they're going to get even more here with this first tower about to be melted.
I mean, another kind of head-scratching engage by YouTube there. He goes in with a Rek'Sai ult. I think he just figured, I'm dead, let me do as much damage as I can. But if you don't go in and land your lockdown, land your abilities, you've got to know when to, take your foot off the gas and just say, okay, we have a team comp that is designed to fight in these chokes. When you have the Braum, when you have the Aurelia, the Misfortune, you want to find a very condensed team fight opportunity. You're already at a bit of a disadvantage when you're facing a comp that has an Aurora and a Zeri, because they're going to be flying around. They're going to pick their targets. You're not going to be able to really lock them down, especially when, the only hard CC that's consistently landed on Travelers is going to come out of the Silas, and to do that he's going to get right on top of you. Lulu's going to make that difficult, and Renekton's going to put a stun right on your head. So we need to see some decisiveness. I like grabbing the Rift Herald. I think they should put this top lane right now, get Aurelia out onto the map, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do.
Oh. Right now, the turret's going to be destroyed. Looking to get some more here, but... Oh, wow. This is something. Right now, DP5, they're still up the gold lead. They're about to hit a 3k deficit, but over towards the Drakes. The next one's about to be found, and there it is, DP5 able to take another lead halfway there to their soul. They want to get it. They want to be able to contain it. Obviously, Herald is going to be in the hands of the side of the Travelers, so they're going to be really good in that lane, but they need to be able to use this somewhere. I assume they're going to try and pop it down in the bot lane, because that would be a good place to be able to get that turret down, but you could also try and adapt it into mid, since you do get that opportunity to take some more towers, open up the base, and try and potentially go for something good, but you have to really figure out something.
Yeah, they're going to have to drop it. If they go for the mid lane, I'd like to see them try and advance into one of these jungle sides and get some more vision. They've been outstanding at covering their own jungle. I can see why Aurorus is leading the league in vision score, but they have to try and get some permanent advantage. I know I keep saying it, but I mean, so many mistakes being unpunished by DP5. You see right there, the Lulu and the Rek'Sai are going into the enemy jungle to put down deep vision without the push in top lane and having an even lane in mid. If YouTube had known about that, he could have just walked down, that's a double kill, and then that's going to be the mid turret. But because we are in this kind of, I'll say, I don't want to have this sound too harsh, but because we're in this kind of part of the bracket in the Shurima division, both of these teams are fighting to get into the qualifier in a good position. So they are still trying to build throughout this season. And I really like what I'm seeing from Travelers throughout the series, but all of the momentum they built for themselves throughout this early game, I feel like they've kind of taken their foot off the gas. We saw so much gold getting put into this Aurelia, put into this Viego, and now they're getting, you know, their biggest advantage right now on the map is probably the misfortune in one of these team fights. Sitting on the Essence Reaver Bloodthirster, going to be a ton of damage. The Aurora hasn't really gotten an opportunity to shine. The focus has been good, but now they're going to get damage down to this mid turret, but they're not going to get the turret because they aren't actually pushed up. They can't contest with the wave clear. They don't have all of their damage there. So just, I feel like there's some attention to detail that's not being put in right now.
Oh, potentially this Lulu might get called out. Early Braum poke, not going to be led to anything big. Bringing himself up, but still not going to get a lot out of that.
You're not going to be able to outwave clear the Zeri Lulu right now. At this point, the Yuntal is coming out, the Runeans is completed. We're running into the same problems that DP5, ironically, had last game, where they're trying to wait out the game, and they're thinking we can give certain things, we can try and greed for certain things, but when you're facing, as the last game showed us, the Sivir Karma, you can't just hope that you can push down waves long enough. They do finally get that mid turret, but it probably comes 3 minutes after it should have. So now that's 3 minutes that might not feel like a lot, but that's 3 more minutes that Zeri got to sit out here and farm. That's 3 more minutes of time that Aurora got to be in the side lane farming. Rek'Sai in the jungle, the lead in the jungle has somewhat been equalized, but Renekton is now on 2 items, has about all the damage items that are totally necessary. We could see the Shojin come in, or maybe a Tiamat item. I'd hope not. I hope he goes into more of a bruiser look now, but the Lulu's going to keep everyone healthy. From Travelers, it's going to have to be a lot more, you know, vision-oriented, a high, you know, high intelligence look where you're really setting up a flank, you're finding an angle, because otherwise, I don't know how they get to the Zeri. You know, so they have plenty of dashes, sure, but when it comes to actual lockdown, if they all jump onto Zeri's head, if Lulu ults and Zeri ults, I don't know how they end up getting the kill, as Virgo's gonna have to flash out now, but just uses that tunnel, gets herself right out. Very smart. But now they're overextending in mid lane.
Oh, look at this damage coming in. Aurora ult's gonna be there. Zeri as well gonna put in some damage. Severt's gonna find the first. It's some really good action here up towards the top lane as well, with the Otacon getting taken down. That's gonna be over for the Travelers to be able to take that in kind. Gonna be going in aggressively, and Setter to get the kill along with their teammates going hand in hand. That's gonna be a great for both teams, actually. DP5 able to get some cleanup, extend their gold lead. Travelers able to get the Otacon. So let's see if that Otacon buff is going to be worth it in the end.
I have no idea what Ryan Pakes is doing, soloing Otacon so low. Sure, he gets it, but it's a 15% buff on 3 Void Grubs and a Mountain Dragon. I think that's, I don't know what 15% of 3% is, but I don't think it's a lot. So just a crazy decision making. And all I can say about this Traveler squad is I can understand why everyone loves these players, because this is very fun to watch. Ryan Pakes starts the game off completely outclassing Alaskan Kodiak, really showing that first game could have been a fluke game, but now he went from 3-0 to 3-3. The Renekton has a shutdown, for Christ's sake. I mean, you look up and down, and DP5, this is almost, the composition from Travelers is extremely different, but this game state has somehow completely flip-flopped into what we saw in game 1, where Travelers had the comp to force the fights, but they didn't pull the trigger quick enough. They didn't find enough advantages and permanently apply them. So now they're in a spot where they're falling behind. They're going to make something happen onto Renekton, but he flashes. It's a long lane, though. I think the speed up, the blue smite comes in. He's not going to be able to get away.
And look at that. Renekton down once more, 1-4. They had a rough start. They were able to kind of mitigate the damage, but now at 25 minutes into the game, that next death could lead to just a complete annihilation. And the Travelers, they've come back, they're ready, and they have taken this Baron by the looks of it. We're going to be seeing some contention by what seems to be the Lulu coming up, and there is going to be the jungler as well, so we might see a smite flip here. And oh, big damage coming in from the DP5, getting everyone burned down to the crisp. But the Baron still at half HP. That's ripe for the picking. Looking to try and rotate around, control the extremities, but there's still the Rek'Sai who's right around the corner. Baron starts to regain its HP. Getting up, they're going to start to back up, but the Travelers, they're not going to have the time. Canceling the backs. Going to force this Rek'Sai to back off instead, though. Biding time, looking to get something more. Sylas going to try and engage, not able to connect. Still, though, wanting to try and protect some of their teammates. There's a lot of players from this DP5 squad. They could potentially burn down the Baron, but instead they want to play aggressive. They want to try and fight in. However, the Renekton gonna be called out here. Big ult from the Aurelia, stunning him up. There's gonna be the Zeri coming in just in the nick of time to clean it up. And oh, yep, the Aurelia no longer gonna be in service.
I can't tell if decisive or indecisive the word is said, or doesn't have ZF, is just gonna die now. I just, this is incredible. I don't know how to describe it. Alaskan and Kodiak went from dying in the top lane by being overextended to dying in the bot lane here by being overextended. Alcove Gaming coming out here. I mean, they get on the Baron. They don't have nearly enough damage to kill it, so all of them make low. Vertigo has been stealing dragons this entire series quietly. He just kind of, you know, strolls in. Rek'Sai's underground. Aurora comes in and one-shots the whole team. They have to back. But then DP5 doesn't have the Zeri on that side of the map, so they can't turn for the Baron, so they try to make something of the play and just keep chasing. Vertigo puts himself in a scary position, has to get out of there. And then on the flip side, you see Ryan go for a fight again, doesn't have vision, doesn't know Zeri's on that side of the map. I actually don't totally blame him for thinking that was a one-on-one. You'd think Zeri would be on the top side if they're all going to walk up to contest the Baron, excuse me. But he gets killed. You think, oh, great job by his setter. Picks up the kill. Very smart to shadow to the Renekton, knowing that Ryan would go in. But then just starts taking the blue buff with no vision and has to flash, still dies, and then Alaskan Kodiak still dies. So, I mean, this is what you gotta love. It's a 4K gold lead. They're on Dragon Soul with 45 seconds until the last one, or the next one, excuse me. I mean, this is anybody's game.
Oh, let's see right now. The Zeri's a little bit overextended. Sun's coming out from the Viego, forced to back up. There's going to be Zeri topping over the wall, but they want to re-engage. Brahm's going to take the heap of this damage, but still not going to be burned down too much. And now, though, the Aurelia playing over towards the side here, potentially going to be able to go for a little bit of a flank, jumping over the wall with the blast cone. Not going to try and go for anything too crazy. It seems like we might be getting to a 5v5 inside of the mid lane. Brahm's going to start backing. There's going to be the divergence from the side of DP5, looking to go for this dragon, which is going to be spawning in 2 seconds. That will secure them their soul. So that's going to be really nice right there. Immediately, though, Misfortune going to drop in the W. Early damage coming in. Stun's gonna come through. Bullet times there, able to collect, but there's gonna be so much damage input. The Renekton secures the first blood. There's gonna be the next. It's gonna be the Aurora to burst down everything in this domination masterclass performance. A complete sweep, no deaths, no faltering, and it's just gonna be Dizzy P5 securing this win.
I was so shocked when I saw Travelers accept that they didn't have the positioning to get the soul and decide they weren't going to contest it. But then we saw the Travelers we all know and love. They ran in with no vision. They thought they caught Severed. The the Infernal Dragon gets melted by the Zeri. 3 items. She destroys it. They cleanly win the team fight. And after all this, they cleanly finish the game. Dizzy's P5 2-1. Great series.
Yeah, that certainly was an amazing series from the side of DP5, dominating in the end after a long heart victory. A little bit of a bump in the road during game number 2, but they came back clean and swept it under the rug. Jack, I can't believe they just dominated that easily. Obviously, it looked good, but you really got to think about it. That Irelia got so fed at the start, and then they just could not keep up the damage. They could not output enough to dominate, and it was really up to the Aurora, who just, in that last team fight, went on to just destroy everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just the Aurelia. Aurelia was 3-0. Viego was 3-0-1. Misfortune was 0-0-2 with good farm, had a shutdown even when the game started to slip away at that about 15-20 minute mark. But then it was just clean play. It was exactly what we saw in that first game. You have the scaling, you just wait. And I mean, I got to give the series MVP to Severed. It really, if you just watched these games briefly, might have gone under the radar, but really, really good play out of Severed in all these games. You see why the Aurora was banned in Game 1 and Game 2. Once this is in the hands of a very skilled player, just eliminates any threat, doesn't matter, does so much damage. And I want to actually really praise Alaskan Kodiak. Got really just put in an unfortunate situation, maintained his cool, kept in the lane, didn't fall too far behind in the CS department, didn't fall behind in gold. Even after last game, didn't have a great performance, but comes into this game, puts the blinders on, goes 0-3 and says, you know what, nope, I got to keep going forward. I can't let this slip. And, you know, just able to keep it going and have a really dominant performance throughout the series. And now they're 3-1. They go into the playoff stage with the potential of clinching a spot, not having to go through the qualifiers. Just really impressive all around from Dizzy's P5.
Yeah, Dizzy's P5, an absolute masterclass level team. They completely shut down their opponents today here, and it really looked dominant in map 1. Map 3 was a little bit closer, but they were able to clinch it out in the end off that soul, off that win. And Jack, I believe that is going to be it from us. If you would like to give us that ad break once more, giving us that little bit of, what's it called? Japanese Zen something? I don't even remember.
Zen Market. We are helping you guys out. There's incredible merchandise out there. And if you want 1,000 yen off of your first international shipping fee, use the code Aegis, AEGIS, to get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee at Zen Market. That is AEGIS, Aegis, for $1,000 off of your first international shipping fee. Go get some great merchandise from Zen Market. Thank you so much for sponsoring.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。